O dabar išpildom 3 karaliaus norus. Prenumeruojam, sekam ir spaudžiam patinka.
Kokios yra Kanye Westo kondicijos? Tikrai bipolar, bet aš nežinau, ar jis daugiau turi oficialių... Jo, tą bipolar jis turi, bipolarinį turi. Ir... sudėtinga, nežinau, tipo, sudėtinga. Labai, absurdiškai didelis menininkas, tipo, nieks negali ginčytis. Bet tada išėjo paskutiniu metu ir ne pirmą kartą, aišku, jis ten jau, bet dabar paskutiniu metu jau ekstra pradėjo iš proto eiti. Ir dėl to ten antisemitizmo savo ir dėl tų pasisakymų. Kai kurie pasisakymai ten tiesiog yra pohui. Tipo, White Lives Matter, okay, who gives a shit? Jo, White Lives do matter, tom turėtų pasibaigti, bet kadangi leftistai tie irgi, aišku, išprotėjai yra, tada pradeda putotis, kaip tu drįsti tą sakyti, nes jie kažkaip kitką supranta, žinai. Žodžiu, ten jau atskira tema, bet I guess ir apie ją čia pašnekės, bet jo, aš nežinau. Ir dabar... Čia ta pat problema, kur aš turiu su visais aktyvistais, tais, kur naudoja, pavyzdžiui, vaikus, blėt. Kur tie aplinkosaugininkai visokie aktyvistai naudojo tą Greta Thunberg, kuri ten ar 6 psichinės ligas turi, ar kažką tokio, nepamenu dabar tiksliai, bet jin irgi ten turi ir tą. Ir ją stato ant scenos, jinai skaito nuo to lapelio, who's night kieno parašytus tekstus, gal ir savo, bet nesvarbu, ir ten pasaulis ploja, tipo, va mūsų autoritetas. The fuck? Tada praeina biški laiko, ten right-wingeris susiranda kokį nors savo autoritetą. Irgi koks ten 18 metų pacanas, kur neaišku nieko, tipo, svarbu, kad sakytų tą žinutę, kokią patinka, kokią nori matyti, ir jis tampa autoritetas. Tada atsiranda koks kitas vaikas, tada dar koks kitas. Dabar Kanye Westas patapo politinių socialinių temų autoritetas. Why the fuck? Menininkas su bipolariniu, kodėl kažkam jis turi patakti autoritetas. Tiesiog, jeigu tu eini gatve, tipo, čia aš suprantu, jeigu tu eisi gatve ir pamatysi kažką, kas klikėjo nesąmonės, tu ignoruosi. Problema ta, kad Kanye Westas turi masyvę publiką ir tada iš karto duoda pagrindą sakyti, jis taigi tokią masyvę publiką turi, jis radikalizuos mūsų jaunimą ir panašiai, čia, tipo, iš tos pusės. Bet jo, aš nežinau, čia... Po visus dabar interviu jį kviečia, ten yra tokių teorijų, kad Candace Owens tenas išnaudoja bizniams tipo savo ten giminių, žodžiu, nesvarbu. Bet ką jis sako ir jo interviu su Piers Morganu, pažiūrėsim, nežinau.
Thank you very much indeed for joining Piers Morgan Uncensored. My first question for you, I guess, is an obvious one. What do you hope to achieve from our conversation?
That right there, being uncensored. In American media, it's very censored. It feels like an episode of Black Mirror a lot of times. So I've put myself across the line, the point of no return, saying, hey, I know they're going to say whatever they want about me. And when I bring up the truth, they're going to say, you didn't get enough sleep. It's because of your health. They're going to call me names for my truth. But these experiences that I'm telling you about are factually things that I've went through and things that I...
Oh, God. Kiek daug problemų su šitos sakiniu jau yra iš karto. Blet. Ir čia nieko nepakeisi. Tiesiog nieko nepakeisi. When I tell them... Jo, cenzūros yra Amerikoje tikrai. Ir visur yra cenzūros. Bet kai jie kalba apie cenzūrą... jie neturi omeny, kad, tipo, jie turi omeny, kaip jis ir išreiškia, kai sakau teisybę, tada mane užtildo, nes jiem yra jau išplautos smegenys tiek, kad už tai tildo, bet realiai ne už tai tildo už tai, kad tu būtent misinformaciją skleidi, bet jie galvoja, kad tai yra teisybė. Tada jisai pakeitė my truth, kur yra faktiškai teisinga. Tai ką tai reiškia? Ką tas sakinys reiškia? Mano teisybė, kur yra faktiškai teisinga. Jeigu aš išėjau į lauką ir mane pašovė ir tada aš sakau, žiūrėkit, neikit nieks į gatvę. Nieks neikit į gatvę. Jeigu išeisit, jūs 100% nušaus, neikit į gatvę. Ir aš tą tiesiog skleidžiu, ir dar reikia, pagerinti reikia, juodaodis mane pašovė, žinai. Ir ten arba žydas, kaip jisai čia sakytų, tipo, nesvarbu. ir tu sakai, kad žiūrėkit, niekit gatvėje 100% koks žydas raidolis pašaus. Ir tada tave užbanina iš kokio Twitterio, nu tiesiog klėdi, nu aišku ne, tai yra nesąmonė. Bet tada aš galiu pasakyti, žiūrėkit, aš pasakiau savo teisybę, kur yra 100% faktiškai teisinga. No shit. Bet tai ir yra anekdotinė random istorija, kuri nėra teisybė, tai yra tavo teisybė, tavo nuomonė, tavo subjektyvi patirtis. Bet tu pirmai pasakai, kad pasakau teisybę ir mane užcenzuruoja. Bet tada sakai, pasakau savo teisybę, kuri faktiškai teisinga. Turbūt nieks nesiginčys, kad turbūt daug dalykų, apie kuriuos tu kalbi, tu asmeniškai patyrei. Ar kažką. Bet čia lygiai tas pats argumentas, kai antivakseris pasakos, kad mano draugas pasiskėpė ir jisai susirgo ir reiškia, skiepai yra blogis, nieks nesiskiepykit, netikėkit ten farmacijom kompanijom, ten viskas melas. Kai seni, tavo viena istorija, ex-leverio lygio grinai argumentas, tavo viena istorija, bet tai nėra objektyvi teisybė, tai yra tiesiog viena anekdotinė tokia istorija. Bet jinai bus faktiškai teisinga, jo, tavo teisybė. Nu, bet jo, tai pirmas sakinys ir jau kiek yra loginių klaidų jame. Ir kai turi tokį mąstymą, tu pasiklydęs, tavim taip lengva manipuliuoti, kurią pusę pastumsi, į kaip kuom patikėsi. Dar pridedi bipolarinį sindromą prie to, tai aš atsimenu, kad konspiracijos ir visokios tokios, kad jie mus valdo, patampa ypatingai, kaip čia, patrauklios. Pararūko. No, aš dėl išvaizdos gyvenimo, man nesvarbu, kaip žmonės rengės. Tai.
I refuse to keep going through, and things that I'm not going to let my children go through, and things that I'm not going to let my peers go through. No pun intended.
Well, we are most certainly uncensored on this show, yeah. And I want to give you the time and the platform to really explain yourself, because I think that sometimes sound bites about people, perhaps taken out of context sometimes, can create a very distorted view of what a person really thinks. What do you think, looking back over the last few weeks in particular, what do you think have been the biggest misconceptions about you?
Well, I think there's a left agenda to silence anyone that goes against the agenda. Let's go back to Trump running for office back in 2015. Everyone that was around me in my industry, in the entertainment industry, told me that my life would be over. I would be on the wrong side of history. I've even had threats to my life for wearing the Trump hat. And it even ended up in, destroying my family and also making it where I have to raise my children differently because I actually am a person that's classified as black. I classify myself as Jew, but a person that's classified that had been given that title in America as black, in America, that I'm supposed to stay in a block of a vote. You never heard the term white vote.
Gerai. Pirma dalis buvo, makes sense. Left labai mėgsta tildyti žmonės. Ir tai, kaip elgiasi su kiekvienu Trump balsuotoju, tiesiog žinoma, kad jie radikalizuoja dar labiau žmonės. Ir jie paskui stebis. Pala, mes taigi užbaninom juos visus. Tai jie tipo nedingo niekur ir ta ideologija, aišku, nedingo. Tai čia yra didžiausia nesąmonė. Bet tada what the fuck? Tada jis save klasifikuoja kaip Jew ir dabar kalba jau...
So why is there a term black vote? How is that okay? It sounds just as racist as a black drinking fountain. And my dad, called me and said, the thing that the left fear about Ye or makes me the most dangerous is I'm rich. And that's the point. Tupac told me back in the days, you had to get your money right and then you go to war. So I'm going to war. I don't have endless resources. I only have maybe, honestly, only maybe $120 million in my account. But what I'm not going to let happen is I'm not going to let my kids take over Yeezy someday and have a boardroom telling them what to do and talking behind their back. I'm not going to let that happen to my children. So I have to fight right now. And the other powerful icons in black music, when they were at the top of the game, they didn't fight at that point. They were too afraid of losing whatever they had. So by the time they wanted to make a difference, by the time Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, he didn't have the Cosby Show at that time to be able to stand up when they wanted to literally throw him in jail, you know, where they actually did throw him in jail. So people have to understand.
Bill Cosby buvo nuteistas ten už... Aš nemaišau, ne prie... Jis buvo nuteistas tenais už belenkiek moterų... Bill Cosby sentenced Vicky? Belenkiek sexual assault cases, ar ne taip? Nu... Ar jis čia galvoja, kad ten neteisingai jį nuteisė, ar what the fuck?
Understand just the bravery. There's so many people everywhere. I know everyone can relate to being afraid to say what you're going to feel because you feel like you're going to, you know, you're going to lose something. So whether you agree with me or not, I believe people are going to feel the fact that someone is brave enough to say something. Every day I do 5 things that people have been historically killed for. Every day. And it's just, yo, I want to prove, first of all, I am Jew also. The 12 lost tribes of Hebrew. Do the math. Do your research on it. We have got our culture ripped from us and then told we were just simply void of color, which is another definition for black. But if we knew we were a culture and knew we were a people, the way the Jewish people know, then we wouldn't abort ourselves. We wouldn't shoot each other dead in the streets and then rap about it. We wouldn't brag about, you know, having sex with each other's wives. We would keep our families together and we would do business together. The most dangerous place for a black person in America is actually in our mother's stomachs, because 50% of black deaths a year.
Fuck, dabar jau peršoko, tipo, Jesus, apie ką jis kalba ten, apie Jew 12 tribes, aš nežinau, kur čia surišo, čia jau skamba kaip ten, aš nežinau, kaip čia skamba, čia jau skamba kaip visiškai kažkokios jau konspiracijos right-wingerių ten. Nu gal ne konspiracijos, aš nežinau. Ten kažkaip turbūt jisai atseka, kad kažkokie ten pagal Bibliją buvo kažkokie traibai ir I don't know. Tada aš čia apie abortus kalbėsiu.
In America is abortion currently. I mean, I can keep going, but I want to make it, hey, boom, ask me questions, let's go.
I don't want to jump in too much, because here's what I honestly think. I think you have an extraordinary mind. You have a number of extraordinary talents. You're a musical genius. You're a fascinating public figure. What has been interesting to me is to watch the furore which has erupted in the last few weeks over a series of statements that you've made, which have caused, as you know, a lot of offence. And I guess before I get into them, I'm just curious as to whether you think there is a line for free speech. Listen, I completely agree with you that there is a war against free speech, that people are, you know, treading on eggshells all the time, terrified of expressing honestly held opinions in case they get cancelled. I think we're living in a really insidious era where liberals are behaving like fascists. So on that, you have absolutely my agreement. But my question for you is, do you believe there are limits to free speech? And if they are, what are they?
There are no limits to free speech. It's all context, right? Tarantino can write a movie about slavery where actually him and Jamie, they got the idea from me, because the idea for Django, I pitched to Jamie Foxx and Quentin Tarantino as the video for Gold Digger. And then Tarantino turned it into a film. But in that film, he puts a context, he creates a context where Leonardo DiCaprio is allowed to use the word multiple times within that context. So Hollywood's job is to frame
Kodėl jie
things.
užcenzuravo šitą žodį, kai jisai sakė? The fuck is that? Piers Morgan uncensored. Tada juodaodis pasakė žodį ir jie užcenzuravo. How the fuck does that make any sense?
And they allow what context, what content is accepted and what's not. We have our thoughts. You know, everyone has thoughts and ideas, and then people try to manipulate your thoughts and ideas. In order for humanity to move forward, we have to be free to think and then to actualize. I like the word actualize better than execute. If you think about execute's a negative word, actualize would be more positive, except for the fact that it has the word act in it, and everyone's an actor, especially in Hollywood. I'm like top 5 writers in human history, so I really get into the power of words, and I feel very akin to Capote, Freud.
He's just fucking rambling. Jis nieko nesako. I don't know. Jis nieko nesako. Jis mato įsivaizduojamus taškus ir juos sujunginėja at this point.
Nikola Tesla, Da Vinci, Matisse, more Matisse than Picasso, more African cubism than Matisse. So I just do that. I throw out that kind of for the liberals. And that's the funny thing. It's like liberals
let me hold you up on that.
Me.
On Matisse, when you say you're more Matisse than Picasso, as somebody who's a fan of Matisse and Picasso, actually, I spent a lot of time in Saint-Tropez where they all used to paint together. Why do you say Matisse? What is it about Matisse that you feel an affinity with?
I feel like Drake is more Picasso and Ye is more Matisse. When we talked about, when me and Drake went to do the show last year for prison reform and to bring awareness to the incarceration of Larry Hoover, I sent him articles about the relationship of Matisse and Picasso and the need for these people. You need to have that. You know, I need to go into the bar and go to Starbucks. That's a form of a modern day bar, right? And just hear Drake's song playing back to back. And Drake needs to go into that same Starbucks just in a different city and see people wearing Yeezys. And it puts us both back into the studio. And, you know, God sets up these almost similar characters, these doppelgangers. It makes me really realize God has a sense of humor. Like, why is John Galliano and Mark Jacobs the exact same human being, just placed in a different place? Or why does God have it where Bernard Arnault cannot purchase Gucci, not even through the Chinese market? God does this to remind us that
nothing to do with God.
We are not God.
Jesus.
Because when you take people like Elon Musk and Bernard Arnault and Trump or Jack Ma, Putin, you take these people in their own space, in their own environments, you know, we can start to feel like gods on earth, but we are nothing in comparison to God. And we are here actually to love one another and to collaborate and to make the world a better place. There's,
Aš
you know,
tikiuosi kažką
1%
konkrečiau
of the world
šnekės,
are
nes
placed in power, and 99%
he
of
just
the world
goes and
are the
goes and
audience.
goes and goes.
So that 1% of the world, this idea of a United Nations, this is the world that needs to come together. This is the world that, I mean, here's the obvious go-to. Biden doesn't listen to Elon Musk.
Nesustoja. Man atrodo, jis net nežino, apie ką kalba. Jis nežino, nei koks klausimas buvo, nei apie ką kalba. Jis pasiklysta savo minčių išsidalinime. Eina mintis, aš buvau parduotuvėje, ką veikai šiandien? Ne. Ką nusipirkai parduotuvėje? Tai va, šiandieną jau į parduotuvę ir eidamas pamačiau savo draugą, tas draugas beje su manimi į mokyklą kartu, beje mokyklai moko matematiką ir istoriją, aš žiauriai nekenčiau istorijos, per istoriją beje buvo. Ir Ir jisai tęsė, ir tęsė, ir tęsė. Related dalykus, nes prisiminė apie kažką, bet jau senai pamiršom net apie ką jis pradėjo kalbėti. Tiesiog...
The president of the United States does not have meetings with Elon Musk. That is, hey, here, come get me. That's retarded. I know I'm not supposed to say that, Biden, but that's retarded, Biden.
Dėl to, kad prezidentas nekalba su Elonu Musku?
You know, it's, and obviously, because I've been dealing with mental health, all this, I have the right to use whatever words that I like to use.
Well, that's interesting. So
hey, ask another question.
Well, yeah, let me ask you on that. So you just said something very inflammatory.
Bet tai kalba su Elonu Musku. Taigi valdžia ištisai ten, man atrodo, apie tam tikrus dalykus. Jis ir NASA's kontraktus gauna, SpaceX, tai sakyt, kad nekalba. Prie ko Elon Muskas, jis čia kalbėjo, kad čia yra tipo retarded, kad valdžia nekalba su Musku, bet jie kalba su Musku.
About President Biden. It will, as you know, offend a lot of people. And it will particularly offend people who work in mental health. You say you should not use a word like retarded. But you say that because you yourself have mental health issues, that entitles you to use that kind of word as an insult. Now, I would say that's an arguable point.
I've had, my issue is I've had mental health allegations.
So do you believe that you have any form of mental illness?
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion. I suffered from being lied to constantly by the people around me. And I believe those things can drive anyone to a point of maximum exhaustion. But I also believe that I'm extremely brilliant and I'm here to make the world a better place. And I'm tired of the left media trying to pick on me. And y'all picked on me enough, and y'all finally touched the person that's not going to take it anymore. And that's part of the reason why I'm on Uncensored, because what they'd like is for me to be quiet. Interesting thing about racism and cancel culture, it's kind of similar, right?
Realiai, tas, ką jisai sakė, techniškai visai teisingai. Jo, iš tikro, medija, ne tik Amerikai, visam pasauliu, medija, kuo tu esi turtingesnis, kuo žymesnis, tu tampi toks po padinamoju stiklu atsiduri. Tave stebi, prie tavęs prispisnėja, visą laiką, ką tu tik pasakysi, padarysi, bus apie tai 15 tabloidinių straipsnių ir panašiai. Čia yra teisybė. Kad tai vargina ir fuckina su tavo smegenim, true, visiškai teisybė. Tu gali jaustis exhausted visiškai. Teisybė. Tada, kad tildo žmonės Ameriką, irgi teisybė, visiškai teisybė. Amerika turi tą problemą, ne tik Amerika, bet Amerika dabar jo bana žmonės, tildo žmonės, ten jo. Bet tada rasizmas ir cancel kultūra dabar iš karto pereinam ir panašus dalykai yra, oh man. ACG versus DG sakė, kad super mačai true. Noriu obuolių pyragą pragauti, kur ką tik išsikepiau, bet mano mažiukas glėbi guli ir negaliu jo dabar kelt. Ai, taip greitai jau vaikų susilaukė, ne. Šiandien žiūrėjau, tai geriau. Okay.
Racism works on itself. I can go into the Gucci store at age 18 and I just assume that people think that I'm about to steal, so I buy more things. With cancel culture, when I brought Marilyn Manson on stage with me when he was dealing with allegations, my stepbrother Marilyn was canceling himself. So many people comment on my White Lives Matter t-shirt. There's people who are saying right there in Fashion Week, when are you going home? I'm so afraid. People thought I was going to cancel myself. I'm not going to cancel myself. I'm going to keep on delivering what I feel, because guess what? It's very split opinions, by the way. If I talk to a black person that makes under $1 million a year, they really relate to the George Floyd comments and feel hurt that I would even bring it up and question the approach. They have multiple documentaries on the death of JFK, but we're just supposed to believe this one media outlet version that preyed on our trauma and our pain. And then if I talk to rich black people or white people, Jew or Catholic or atheist, they're really into the Jewish media comment because it affects their business interests.
Okay, well, look,
and it was really interesting.
Let me just pick you up on the two things you've mentioned.
Wow, okay. Prieš 30 dalykų, ką jis pasakė, blėt, pamiršau jau, bet buvo teisybė. Kad yra split, actually. Kad tai, ką jis sako, nėra čia mažoji mažuma. Beveik pusė amerikiečių. Actually, labai, net tokius extreme gal viewsus, bet, laikosi, republikonai yra. Tai jis teisus, tipo, nes leftistai ką labai nori pavaizduoti, kad čia Trumpas yra blogietis, nieks republikonų nepalaiko. Ne, seniai, jūs vos laimėjote rinkimus, tenais Trumpas laimėjo prieš tai, pusė amerikiečių palaiko, bišk mažiau nei pusė, bet, yeah.
The first one is what you said about George Floyd. And the reality of that, it's not a media interpretation of how he died, because the Hennepin County Chief Medical Examiner concluded that Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrest. His heart stopped, complicated by the way the police restrained him and compressed his neck. Now, he also said there were other contributing conditions.
Wait.
Well, hang on, let me finish. There were other contributing conditions, narrowed arteries, high blood pressure, and fentanyl intoxication. But although these were significant conditions, he said, and things that played a role in the death, they didn't directly cause the death. The cause of death was what that policeman did with his knee to George Floyd.
Person?
Well, why would a coroner lie?
What makes you believe that?
Why would a...
Labas, Rembo, kol kas dar nelabai ypatingai pradėjom apie Kanye Westą žiūrėti. Ir va šičia susidurėm su problema. Medikas pasakė, išvadas padarė ir Kanye Westas netikėsio, nes jis nupirktas yra. And that's it. Ir viskas. Ir tu niekad negali nieko sutarti šitoj vietoj. Nes tau atrodo, kad ir tas pamelavo. Ir įmanoma. Ne pirmas pasaulyje kartas būtų, kai kažkoks oficialas ten pameluotum, tipo, daktaras ar kažką pameluotų, ar kažką, Bet, ir viskas čia tas yra ne siena, kurios neįmanoma jiems peržengti dabar.
Lie.
Because he could get paid to lie.
Yeah,
because he could get paid to lie. Because he's
I
talking in the press.
I watched it for 8 minutes.
The majority of the press.
Right, but I watched it for 8 minutes.
Now tell me this. Have you seen the Candace Owens BLM documentary?
I have watched some of that documentary, but here's what I would say to you. When you watch that video of George Floyd...
No, it's not a but. It's not
well, I haven't watched the whole thing.
I need you to watch...
I know.
Okay,
I know what you said about... I know Candace.
I'm going to finish. La, la,
It's all right.
La.
You don't have to do that. It's fine. I know what it means.
La, la, la means be quiet and let me finish.
Right, but you did interrupt my question.
Right, so with the BLM... No, I wasn't finished. You're pressing agenda. You haven't seen the whole thing.
I don't have an agenda. I just read you what the coroner said.
So we can have 20 different perspectives on how JFK died, but us as black people, not only can we only vote one way, we're not allowed to have any other perspective.
Gerai. We can have 20 different perspectives on how JFK died. Jis mirė nuo šūvio į galvą. Visų pirma. Tai tas daktaras, mes matėm įrašus, dar iki dabar yra, kaip jo ten ar žmona, ar kas, blėtės smegenis ten gaudo, ar galvos dalį. Ir atlikus autopsiją, galų gale viską, oficialiai mirties priežastis, kad jį šautinė žaizda jį pašovė. Tas pas su George Floydu, mes matėm, kas buvo, ir tada daktaras paskelbė. Dabar galima aplinkui vartyti, kas nušovė, bet mes žinom, nuo ko mirė. Daktaras ir nustato, nuo ko mirė. O ne, kodėl pareigūnas sėdėjo jam, kodėl, tipo... Nesėki Karkasonai minties, bet...
I just read you what the coroner said.
On how JFK died, but us as black people, not only can we only vote one way, we're not allowed to have any other perspectives, and that the area for George Floyd, where he passed, the murder rate is up 50%, and nothing, this is so-called movement, but it didn't move blacks anywhere.
Right, now listen,
so me as a black person.
I will say there are legitimate questions about the Black Lives Matter movement, no question.
Ne čia nuo Floydo iki JFK, bet iš JFK jau paminėjau anksčiau, bet kalbėjau apie George Floydą, tada jis panaudojo tą pavyzdį JFK.
But on the specific point about how George Floyd died, I don't think it's in question about what actually killed him. It was that police officer with his knee on his neck.
Well, it isn't question. It isn't question. I'm questioning.
Well, you can question it, but what you're questioning is a coroner report.
Do you have friends that were killed by police officers? Do you have friends that were locked up? Do you have people aborting half your race? No. So I am the black person with the black experience that's worth $11 billion and is the most influential person on the planet. And I am questioning it.
Ir visiškai pohui turėtų būti, nes tu ne medikas ir tu ne daktaras. Ir kiek tu ką be išvardintai, kad esi juodas, kad esi multimilionierius, ar ten vertas kažkiek, ar kažką, tai nepadaro tavęs autoritetų klausimų mediciniais klausimais. And that's it. Case fucking closed. Bet aš nekenčiu šito, blėt. Viskas, ką tu išvardinai, vapšė irrelevant yra, blėt.
Okay.
Ne tu nustatai, kas mirė ir dėl kokių priežasčių. Daktaras, kuris tą išmano nustato. Dabar tu gali sakyti, kad aš netikiu šito daktaru, jam sumokėjau. Ir gerai, ir viskas, mes negalim šito įspręsti. Bet tu negali kelt savo 55 teorijų, tarsi jos būtų kažko labiau credible negu daktaro. And that's it.
Right to question it. You can't tell me with your accent that me as an American, Jew, black person, that I cannot question that death and question the means behind that was put on camera.
I'm not saying you
to
can't
traumatize. I'm not finished. La 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 means let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not finished talking. So
Jesus Christ.
I cannot. See, because you distract my thoughts and then you try to make me look like a crazy person, and you feel.
Man atrodo, kai tu pradedi dainuoti vidury pokalbio, kad tau leistų užbaigti mintį, tu jau atrodai kaip fucking crazy person. Oh my goodness, blat.
You have the right to cut me off, and I've proven you guys don't want it with me. This is like Terminator 20. You've never seen this before. You've never seen this before, so I want no one to play with me. I have the right to question because that videotape was used to traumatize my people and force us into the Democratic vote. Hey, George...
Čia net nemoka diskutuoti, aš nežinau. Čia net sunku ją mintį dėlioti kažkokią vieną ar sekti savo mintį gal, nežinau.
Soros, you're a real competitor. I respect you. I'm worth more money than you, and I have more influence than you, and have, Piers Morgan from a different country saying, well, I'm not going to do an English accent because that would be racist. I'm funny, by the way.
That's fine. I know you can do that. As I said to you.
Tai visa tai yra fine. Ir turėtų būti fine. Bet realiai, kai Amerikos left, kuris taip nekenčia, tiek toli nuėjo, kad jie tos bairius supranta kaip, oh my god, you're so racist. Jo, jis tada, tos pašiepiančius bairius skait, nes jeigu ne tie Amerikos leftistų, tie aktyvistai, apie kuriuos jis kalba, net nebūtų jo, tu gali tą bairį pasakyti. It's pretty funny. Who gives a shit?
The show is uncensored, yeah. You can say what the hell you like, right? But that doesn't mean I can't pick you up on a few things, right? You accept that.
I accept that, but you try to say, it is unquestionable because this one Dr. Fauci said this. Oh. I know it wasn't Dr. Fauci, but I'm just giving an example where we hear from even Google. Like, people feel like...
Aš nežinau, kaip reiktų išspręsti šitą vietą, šitą pokalbio metu. Aš nežinau, kaip reiktų išspręsti. Tau pasakė, žmogus, aš netikiu, kad daktarui nebuvo sumokėti ir jis pasakė teisybę. Okei, pistėts, jo, yra šansas. Tai yra įmanoma. ir neturi kaip resolvint šito. Reikia, kad daugiau, gal ir daugiau ir padarė iš tikro, bet tipo gerai tada, kiek daktarų turėtų pasakyti tą. Jam reikia leisti tik muziką kurt. Nu, dabar ir jūs už cenzūrą, ne? Jo, nes tai prie gero dalyko prives. Ir priveda tai yra. Aš nežinau, kaip tą reiktų įspręsti. Tipo, reiktų turbūt klaus, gerai. Ko tau reiktų, kad tu prieitum išvadą, kad gerai. Aš žinau priežastį ir mirė dėl to, kad pareigūnas jam ant kaklo sėdėjo 8 minutės. Ko tau reiktų? Vieno daktaro, kuris pasakė neužtenka. Gerai. Jeigu 10 daktarų pasakytų. Ar užtektų? Ne, visi gali būti nupirkti. Gerai. Visi pasaulio daktarai, jeigu pasakytų. Gerai, gal tada užtektų. Nu, tipo, ko reiktų būtent, kad tu patikėtum, kad ta oficiali versija, kur daktarai pasakė, yra actually teisybė, o ne viena iš tavo 100 teorijų, kurias gali sukurti belenkas. Man įdomu būtų, kas pakeistų jo nuomonę. I don't know. Nežinau. Nedaktarė, kad artimas jo žmogus, tai paskaitai... Gal. Nu, bet jo, tai čia ir gaunas, kad tiesiog tu kontroliuoji žmogų ir manipuliuoji jom. Jisai pats neturi tada jokio kaip atsirinkti, o jis tiesiog, nu, ką išgirs. Occam's Razor, čia ta istorija su kaklu? Occam's Razor. Ai, ne, man atrodo, ne ta. Ai, kad paprasčiausias sprendimas ar paprasčiausias paaiškinimas yra teisingas greičiausiai. Ar čia tas? Radau. Problem solving principle that entities should not be manipulated beyond necessity. It is generally understood in the sense that with competing theories or explanation, the simpler one, for example, a model with fewer parameters is to... Okay, yeah. Aha. Jo, esu girdėjęs tą.
You know, if you Google it, it's factual.
Matai, problema ta, kad jeigu tu kalbėsi su tokiu žmogumu, ne, kuris tau pasako, tu jam ką pasakysi, tu žinai, čia yra Occam's Razor ir tu klysti, nes tavo versija yra labai sudėtingesnė, tai nieko nepadaro, tai jiems nieko neįrodo, tai bevertis dalykas yra. Tiesiog pasirodė protingas, valio, bet tai nulis reikšmės. Bet realiai mano klausimas turbūt ir man būtų įdomu, kaip daeiti kito žmogaus ir actually priversti pagalvoti ar pakeisiu nuomonę galų galiau, jeigu įmanoma būtų. Tokiais dalykais ne, bet tai turbūt atmir įdomu būtų paklausti gerai, ko reiktų, kad tada pakeistum savo nuomonę ir gerai skaitum, jo, jisai mirė nuo to. Ko reiktų? Bet teoriškai wild scenarijų tipo, ko reiktų? Jeigu visi pasaulio daktarai, pavyzdžiui, sakytų, ar būtų logiška tada, kad jie visi tikrai nebus nupirkti? Ar tu vis tiek galvotum, kai jie nupirkti ir vis tiek netikėtum? Nu, tipo, jeigu nėra nei vieno dalyko, kuris galėtų pakeisti tavo nuomonę kažkaip, tai čia yra masyvi problema. Tu reiškia, tavo fundamentals, bazinis supratimas, kas yra realybė, kaip tu gauni informaciją, yra antiek sujauktas, kad, nu, ir tau pizdės, tu niekada nepakeisi savo nuomonės, net jeigu, net jeigu tu galėtum teleportuotis laiku, grįžti tą vietą, ar būtum pats ekspertas, tipo, nes, nu, scenarijaus tu jokio nesugalvoji, tipo, I don't know. Anyway, gerai, žiūrim toliau.
There's so much non-factual information about me on Google, but then I still believe Google, and people pay to get certain information to the top of Google. But this is good. Keep going. Where else you want to go with it?
Here's where I want to go. The civil rights lawyer Lee Merritt responded to what you said about George Floyd's death and said, while one cannot defame the dead, the family of George Floyd is considering suit, which they're now doing, as you know, they're...
Oi, jo, ir problema yra ta, kad jau Vestas automatiškai blokuoja visus, kas jam nepritarė, tada taip gaunas. Ir jam turėtų pasakyti kažkas, ką jis gerbė iš savo right-wingerių draugų, kurių jis klauso, kad George'as Floydas nuo to tikrai mirė. Bet jiem niekas taip nepasakys, nes tai yra jų ta agenda. Tai reiškia, neįmanoma pakeisti nuomonę šito vietą. I don't know.
While one cannot defame the dead, the family of George Floyd is considering suit, which they're now doing, as you know, they're suing you for $250 million, for Ye's false statements about the manner of his death, claiming Floyd died from fentanyl, not the brutality established criminally and civilly, undermines and diminishes the Floyd family's fight.
Man jau ir Pavelas tą norėjo man sakyti, kai mes šnekėjom paskutinį kartą apie George'ą Floydą. Jis irgi tą buvo, kai ten irgi savo ten teorijų buvo, bet oficialiai priežastis yra, viskas oficialiai yra, tai ja, aš dėl to ant jo ir ten, nu, su jo pakalbėjom apie tai.
So what is your response to that?
Well, anybody who loses a loved one, my heart goes out to them. Any race, my heart goes out to the pain of that. I have a theory about it. Now, this is not a fact. This is a feeling that I have. In the documentary, George Floyd's 2 roommates said that George kept saying, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. So for me, I'm a creative, right? I can like make a dinosaur out of a femur, right? So if I'm making a dinosaur out of a femur and I'm looking at a documentary that says George Floyd was telling his 2 roommates, they want a tall guy like me. And on the day of his death, he prayed for 8 minutes. They said he prayed longer than he ever prayed. What do you
Jesus Christ. You're so fucked. You are so fucked. Aš žinau, ar čia yra tiesiog jau jo bipolarinis sutrikimas, ar čia tiesiog konspiratorinis mąstymas, ar čia abu viename, čia yra jau baisu. Tai gerai, faktai tau neįdomu, kas faktus pasako medikai, nes jie nupirkti, bet aš papasakosiu dabar kažkokią random istoriją, kurią kažkur girdėjau, toj pradėsiu suvedinėti, kaip čia jis išpranašavo pačią savo mirtį. Jesus, fuck.
What do you think, me as a creative mind, the beautiful mind, right, the sensitive mind, what do you think I feel could have happened in that situation?
All right, well, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I would say that because of your brilliant, beautiful, creative mind, as you put it, and I don't dispute that at all. You've got an extraordinary mind. And I can see that in the way that you conduct interviews. You go off on very long tangents, but they're sort of fascinating. I find it fascinating to listen to you. I'm not saying you don't have a right to question.
Sort of, quite. Yeah. These are like Capote-level fascinating tangents.
No, they're not. They're not. I'm just saying it's the way you conduct yourself, and I think that's very interesting.
What do you mean? Or not? Why is it, it's not Capote level?
Actually,
ką Piersas Morganas, man atrodo, norėjo pasakyti čia, kad tie creative typai yra priežastis, kodėl man patinka visokios bipolarinės panos, gerai, nes jos žiauriai įdomios yra. Niekad nenuspėsi ten realiai, kas jų galvoje sukasi. Yra toks wild ride, arba į gerą pusę, arba į blogą pusę. Niekad nuobodu nebus, tipo. Kanye Westo Genius yra turbūt didelė dalim, akredituojamas jo tam kažkokiai kondicijai. Aš nežinau, ar čia turbūt logiška būtų taip sakyti, nes jeigu tu esi paprastas standartinis žmogus, okei. Tu kažin ar sukursi kažką ten ypatingo. Bet ypatingai kūrėjai dažniausiai ir turi va tokių visokių, pas jos smegenys šiek tiek kitaip veikia. Kai kurie būna leidžiai šizofrenikai ir visokie tokie, kai kurie būna bipolar va turi, kai kurie tiesiog narkotikų vartoja, kad savo, brain chemistry tą visą pakeistų ir tada mato dalykus ir tampa artistais ir panašiai. Realiai daug labai menininkų vienokį ir kitokį turi va tokį. Tai turbūt, tai va ką Piersas Morganas čia norėjo linko vesti, kad tai, kas tave padaro gerų menininkų, dabar veikia, kad tu sujunginėtum taškus, kur jų nereikia sujunginėti. Tai yra konspiratorika ir panašiai. Kai tu gali dinozaurą iš femuro padaryti, kaip jis pasakė, femur čia kalbas tas kažkas ir aš nežinau, nesvarbu, tipo, jo, tu gali sukurti ir tai bus dinozauras, koks realybėje neegzistavo, tu sukursi visiškai kažką naujo, nes tu sujunginėsi neegzistuojančius taškus ir sukursi kažką naujo. Bet kai tą patį tu aplaini faktams ir mokslo ir dalykams ir pradedi sujunginėti taškus, kur jų nėra, pradedi matyti viską. Jo, tu esi kūrybingas, bet čia nereikia vietos kūrybai. Čia turi žaisti faktai, duomenys ir čia vat problema yra.
Can't be Capote level.
If you would like me to compare you to Truman Capote, I am happy to do that, Ye. If you want to be known as the new Capote, I'm with you, okay? I'm not going to question your talent. Your talent, to me, is completely unquestionable, right? When you question that...
Answer the question about the femur to the dinosaur.
No, I'm going to ask you a different question.
Situation.
I'm just going to ask you this.
You're not. You're gonna. No, I didn't finish my question.
Well, hang on. You can't tell me.
You gotta answer my question.
You can't
first.
tell me what questions to ask you. You accept that I'm the interviewer.
I can't tell you to answer my question. No, I said answer my question. No, I'm interviewing you too.
Well, you can't interview me. It's my interview.
You're Bono. I'm interviewing you too. See, that's the way we rap.
Oh my God, he's pretty fucking funny, kai toks dalykus sako. I fucking love this type of humor. Pas jį panai galvoje sukasi, kas jau 5 blet pana. Bet goddamn.
No. Let me just put this to you. Hang on.
You're trying to avoid
No. La. To put quite a phrase. You're interrupting me now.
I'm going to get back to it.
All right, you can, but let me ask you.
Because you haven't answered my question.
Here's my question for you, which you haven't answered.
No, I'm not. Don't answer my question with a question. I'm not answering anything to you.
I'm going back to my original question in a way, which is simply this. I'm not saying you don't have a right to question how George Floyd died, but given the world watched that horrifying video of that policeman's knee on his neck, and given that is what the coroner said caused his death, albeit he had other underlying conditions, including fentanyl intoxication, when the family see someone like you, who's hugely influential, you're known around the world, questioning how their loved one died, they find that very hurtful, which is why they're now suing you for it. And my question for you is, do you understand the pain that sometimes your comments can cause, like this circumstance with George Floyd's family?
Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Again,
with my imagination, when you see in the documentary that George Floyd's 2 roommates said they want a tall guy like me, they want a tall guy like me, and that he prayed extra long on the day of his passing. Where do you think that takes my beautiful mind?
Gerai, aš labai abejoju, kad jis praeino ten ever kažkada gyvenime, bet nesvarbu.
I think it can take you to a place where you want to believe something which may not be true. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying all the evidence points. I'm giving you an honest answer. My honest answer is I think that
wasn't honest. That was a political
my honest belief is that.
What do you guys do? People in the newsroom, what are they doing? They're like cringing right now. They're like, whoa.
No.
We never experienced this before. We
I'm not cringing.
A black entertainer that won't be threatened by the media to back down from his opinion.
Yeah, I think you mistake.
Tu gali turėti savo opinion. Tai nereiškia, kad tai yra teisybė. Tu gali kvestionuoti viską. Tu gali faktus, kiekvieną faktą kvestionuoti. Ar žolė tikrai žalia, ar žemė tikrai apvali. Tu gali tą daryti. Bet tai nereiškia, kad tavo nuomonė ir tavo klausimai yra teisybė, ar patampa teisybė, ar alternatyvia nors kažkiek realia teorija. Ir va to nesupranti. Ir jo, kai toks kreatyvas pasako jam faktą, kažkokią ar kažką, gerai, aš netikiu to faktų ir tada savo taškų, savo teorijos, kur gerai, tu gali tą daryti. Ir nieks už tai tavęs netilta, bent jau, ir duoda tau šnekėti, bet tai nereiškia, kad čia teisybė yra.
You mistake me for somebody who's going to be like the others. I have a show called Uncensored for a reason. I'm giving you a platform for a reason.
You're pressing an agenda.
No, I'm not. You're perfectly entitled to your opinions.
Your agenda.
But do you accept
you're lying now?
Do you accept you may not always be right?
I just called you a liar. How does that make you feel?
That's fine if you think I'm a liar. That's fine.
Who gives a shit?
No, you're a liar. You're pressing the agenda of the pain and trauma economy that is pressed on my people by the left.
Actually, the trauma I think that was implemented to George Floyd was from a vile white racist police officer who kneed him to his death. And I agree with the coroner's findings because I don't see any reason why the coroner would invent that. So that's my belief. If you want to challenge that and you don't believe it, that's entirely your right.
I have a question. Who do you think are the biggest vile white racist? The media.
You think the media is racist?
What? Please, next question. Please don't ask me any retarded questions.
Let me go to the next furore, which has been around you.
What? Please, next question. Please don't ask me any retarded questions.
Šitą reikia iškirpt. Šitą reikia iškirpt, blet. Reikia alertą tokį turėti, reikia turėti klipą on prepare, kai kažkas paklaus kažką super dumb. Fucking perfect. Nu na, aš užsisaugosiu copy current time.
Okay, let me go to the next furore, which has been around you in the last couple of weeks, which is your attacks.
Is that British for theory? Is that British for theory? What's theory, bro? Is that British for theory?
You actually have quite a good British accent. That's quite good. Let me ask you, if I can, about the allegations that you have made anti-Semitic comments. And in particular, when you said on Instagram, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Now, many people who are Jewish found that deeply offensive. They wanted to know, what did you mean by going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people?
Well, I'm a Jew.
DEFCON 3, as you know, is a heightened state of awareness for military action. So what did you mean by that? Here's your chance to clarify what you meant by DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Well, thank you.
Nu, tipo, visi supranta, ne, kad jis parašė, kad, tipo, nu, pradės stumtant Jewish people. Nu, kad, tipo, DEFCON 3. Tie, kur suprato, kad aš eisiu šaudysiu dabar, nu, military action, kad čia yra, kad taip suprato, jie autistai patys yra. Manau, visi, nu, supranta, ką jis turėjo menį. Nors, ble, tu negali žinoti Amerikoje, kas turi menį, gal ir sušaudys kažką, bet, nu, aš 100%, kai aš perskaičiau tą, aš galvoju, kai jis ir turėjo menį, kad, nu, tipo, I'm gonna go nuclear on their asses. Žinai, toks pasakymas, susiriškimas yra. Tai nereiškia, kad tu atominės mėtys ant kažkieno šiknų. Tai reiškia, kad tiesiog, nu, pradėsi be ribų varyti ant jų, žinai, piktai pult ar kažką, nu, tipo. Ta būtent reiškia ir čia.
For allowing me to say what I meant due to the fact that I was blocked by Jewish people after I said that. So I wasn't actually allowed to say what I was about to say. But what I was going to say is I was going to talk about all of the contracts, all of the misdealings that I dealt with as an entertainer. Being that I'm an entertainer, I've been wronged so many times by Jewish businessmen. And the reason why I say people, if a black man is caught in the car with drugs or a gun, and there's 3 other black guys in the car with him, guess what? They're all going to jail. So the reason why I say people is I want those businessmen's wives and fathers, mothers, grandmothers, and kids to ask them, why is Ye so mad at us? Because they're taking money out of my children's mouths and putting it into their children's mouths. I'll give you this parallel and this analogy. If you take, you know, I just talked to Irina Shayk, right? And if you look at a picture of her at age 14, this person is beautiful, like one of the most beautiful people that God has ever created, right? And if any man did her wrong at a young age, she would get to the point where maybe she would actually hate men. You've heard that terminology, right? So I'm at a point where I'm frustrated. I have the right to my anger, and I'm saying that people need to fix it. I'm not going to fix what I feel until what I'm feeling is fixed.
Okay, can I respond?
You're not just going to shut me up and say...
No, I'm not going to shut you up. Can I respond to what you've just said? My problem with what you've said, I'll be straight with you, is that if I, as a white man, posted tomorrow on my Instagram, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on black people, what would you think?
Jew.
No, if I said black people, what would you think? If that was what I posted.
Well, did you accept that black people... You accepted that black people are Jew? Or
I'll come to that in a moment. On the specific, though, if I simply said, in other words, all black people, was the implication of what I said, I would get rightly cancelled. I would get rightly vilified and abused. You, I suspect, would be outraged by a white person saying such a thing, because you wouldn't make any distinction about whether I was talking about certain black business people I'd fallen out with or whatever. You would think I was judging an entire populace by the color of their skin. You are, by saying Jewish people, on Jewish people, you're not saying Jewish businessmen, accountants, whatever that you've had a problem with. You're basically saying in that statement, all Jewish people, which is why it caused such offense. And I'm curious whether you, even as you wrote those words, understood what Jewish people actually would feel when you said that and didn't make any specific references to any individuals.
Maybe they would feel how all my people have felt. Maybe they would feel the pain of when a black...
Tai fight racism with racism, tada čia Kanės atsakymas? O, jie dabar jaus, ką aš jaučiau, taip, nu, ką mes jautėm, tipo, tai fight racism with racism, čia, tipo, what?
Artist looks up and they've completely been raped by 5 Jewish businessmen. And there's multiple accounts.
Why does the fact that they're Jewish have anything to do with it?
Maybe they would feel like that.
But why would you say
it just so happens they are?
Well, okay, but
so not just so happens.
Why categorize them according to their religious faith, their ethnicity? Why would you do that? Why can't you just describe them as business people that you've dealt with? That's fine, but what you're doing by saying Jewish people, these constant tirades against Jewish people, many people find
why
that...
Why are you calling it a tirade? That sounds like you have it...
I think it's a tirade.
Where's the tirade? That was a tweet. It was a tweet.
It's not just a tweet,
and you asked me to explain it. And that... Have you felt my pain yet? You haven't felt my pain. You don't want to feel my pain.
Well, no,
you don't hold You don't hold accountability to my pain. You're being a Karen.
I'm talking about. I'm not a Karen
to the pain.
I'm not a Karen, and I'm not going to cancel you, and I'm not going to uncensor you. I'm simply going to challenge you on what you're saying. I think you don't understand the pain that you've been causing with some of these comments, and I think that one in particular, I can understand.
Oh my God. God forbid, one comment could cause people to feel any of the pain.
Jo, tikrai negali šito rašyti, čia automodas netgi jo neleido. Jesus Christ.
That my people have went through for years. Even like the blacks being ushered to the left during the civil rights movement.
Why does he... Okay, why does...
No,
all right.
No one is...
I say, I agree that the racism against black people has been utterly deplorable, shameful, unacceptable, and thank God the world is beginning to move to a better place about the way it has treated black people like you. However, one form of racism doesn't justify...
it's almost in a better place.
Well, one form of racism doesn't justify another.
It's not a better place.
I'm not cutting you off. I'm finishing my sentence so you can respond. One form of racism... It is racism when you say I'm going DEFCON for Jewish people. That's racism.
No, it's not.
It is.
I thought you had a platform where I could explain how I felt. You don't care about how I feel. You just want to shut me up. You don't want me to say out loud what my people have been going through.
I do.
Yeah, ne prie ko čia, kad tavo people were going through. Oh my God. How fucking dumb.
So what have my people have been going through? What led me to that point?
Who cares?
What led me, a person, a successful, influential, extremely attractive person to get to that point?
I am not doubting for a moment that you will feel genuine pain about the racism against you and other black people in America. Not for 1 second would I deny that.
Racism by who?
Well, by anybody. I think any form of racism is wrong. Any form of racism is wrong.
I didn't say DEFCON on anybody though.
You said DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, specifically Jewish people. You didn't say any particular Jewish person. You said basically all of them. That is racism, yay. And I think if you were honest with yourself,
the definition of the word.
Given the fallout from this, you would think again about how you phrase that sentence.
Tu gali tada, ką neturėtų dabar turbūt daryti tada. Nu, aišku, to nepadarys, bet tipo, gerai, jis gali sakyti, okei, jo, čia yra rasizmas. Gerai, jo, čia yra rasizmas. Fuck it. man atrodo, kad aš galiu kovoti rasizmu prieš to žmonės, kurie man tai pakenkė gyvenime ir tiek skausmų sukėlė. Fuck it. Ir tai būtų suprantama pozicija. Nu, tipo jo, rasizmas yra rasizmas. Sure. Bet dabar jisai neigia, kad yra rasizmas ir tai čia dabar iš viso, taip iš maždaug, okei. Nes jo, jis čia maždaug kovo, nu, ne. Ne, jis čia dabar jau net nebe left kalba, jis kalba apie muzikos industriją ir kad ten dauguma yra tų producerių ir visų tenais, nu, žydų kontroliuojami tie labelai visokie ir panašiai. Ir kaip jisai pasakė, kad tenais jis gyvenime labai daug, nu, nuoskaudų turi prieš tą visą, nu, kiek nesąžiningų dylų turėjo ir kiek problemų turėjo dėl tos visos industrijos, kurią kontroliuoja žydai. Todėl jisai prie žydus dabar tą rasizmą, nu, čia apie tai, čia left net nelabai susijęs su to partikular argumentu.
Because actually you didn't mean all Jewish people,
given
did you?
the fallout,
Do you care about the hurt you caused Jewish people?
What fallout?
Well, you were removed from social media.
Wait a second, you're not allowing me to talk, Chris. You're not allowing me to talk, Chris.
Chris?
Oh, I thought it was the same person.
He's American. I'm British.
Oh. Ow. Oh. Okay, čia buvo too clever, Irish. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
So the thing is, I want to bring joy to the world. I'm a composer, right? And this is a symphony. Our life is a symphony. We have so many beautiful ideas, but I feel the anti-Semite has been a wall, a cloak that allows Jewish businessmen, boom, I'll only be the police officer that says, hey, this guy with the gun is the only person going to jail. I'll be the first person that does that in history, right? So look, no one else in this car riding with the guy with the gun and the drugs is going to jail. Are you happy? I'll play by rules that are not played by from my people, just for the sake of this conversation.
I don't want you playing by any.
So
I don't want you playing by any.
That makes you happy, right?
I don't want you to say things just to make me happy.
That's what colonizers do, is give us rules.
I'm not trying to
colonize you. That's what colonizers do, is give us rules.
I'm not trying to colonize you. I'm not trying to censor you. All I'm saying to you is, when you use a phrase, like I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Did you hear what I just said, though?
Yes, I did.
We're past that. We're past that in a conversation.
Well, hang on. We're not past it.
Did you hear what I just said?
We're not past it unless you're prepared.
Are you happy that I said I'll focus?
Let me explain
Are you happy that I said?
I know. I heard what you
Whoa, brother! Why are you talking over me?
Let me respond.
Chris.
I'm Piers. Let's respond. Let me respond, right? I'm simply saying what you've just said is not what you said on your Instagram post, and you know it, right? If you have a problem with particular businessmen who happen to be Jewish, that is a concern for you.
And you know it.
So you talk about all Jewish people.
But brother, what is the point? Brother, do you want me to grow from the statement? I just told you, okay, I was in a position where I've been hurt, and this is the way I had the right to express myself. The point of this interview is for you to question me, and then for me to answer and say, okay, even though the same rules are not applied to my people, if a person with a gun or drugs is pulled over and has 3 other people in the car, they're all going to jail.
Okay,
I'm not going to apply that to Jewish people for the sake of this conversation. Isn't that what you wanted? But you know what you did? You tried to civil rights me. You tried to pull me back to a week ago. But we're here today. There's been plenty of conversations and commentary since that. But you want me to go back to 1960.
No.
You want me to go back to...
Čia su to pavyzdžiu. Bet vis tiek nepripažįsta, kad tas tweetas yra tipo racist ir tipo nereikėjo jo gal rašyti. Nu, ne tik, kad nereikėjo, bet kad racist yra. Jis gali rašyti, okei. Bet jis yra racist tweetas, tipo. Ir kadangi juodaodžius visus pasodina, žinai, kai paima sustabdo mašiną ir vieną su ginklu, tai jis dabar nenori vieno partikular to žydo business man atskirti. Jis tiesiog visus jos vienas, tą patą. Su rasizmu kovoja rasistiškai. Nu, tipo, bet jis va to nenori pripažinti, bet jie visi supranta.
Right, let me jump in. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to reflect.
Okay, so have we grown? Have we grown?
Here's how we grow. Yeah. Here's how we grow. I want you to reflect.
No, have we grown? Have we grown? You're not in charge of my growth. You're not in charge of my growth, Chris.
Okay, let me phrase it like this. I'm about to suggest to you how you may grow if you choose to grow this way. And you can ignore me. You can ignore me.
Piers, how much money are you worth?
Not as much as you, sadly.
Exactly. So take my advice. Maybe you'll get richer.
I would love to take your business advice.
Why would I listen to you?
Nu, nes pokalbėse su žmonėmis jisai turbūt daug daugiau pasiekęs negu tu pasiekęs kaip muzikantas. Jeigu kalbėtume apie muzikos kūrimą, Piersas Morganas tavęs klausytų turbūt. Bet šičia ir didelė problema, vėlgi. Kai tau autoritetas arba neautoritetas ne dėl kažkokių žinių, o dėl to, kad pinigų turiu. Gerai, jeigu aš loterijai laimėjau daugiau už tave, ar aš dabar galiu tau dalinti patarimus, kaip muziką kurt? Tipo, seni, jeigu kažkas laimėjo loterijų, arba kažkas bitkoinų brangiai labai pardavė ir turi daugiau pinigų negu tu, ar jis tau gali patarimus duoti, kaip muziką kurt? Nu, tipo, ne, bet nedaina tau tokie dalykai.
Why do you hear what my advice is and then work out if I'm wrong? Can we do that deal?
You haven't given me any credit or a moment of reflection for the comparison that I made, the brilliant, if I do say so myself, comparison that I made.
Not a brilliant comparison. Tiesiog kovoji su rasizmu, pasikliaujant rasizmą. Tipo, what the fuck? Visi supranta, ką daro, nereikia tam comparison kažkokią apie mašinų sėdinčius juodaodžius. Sen, mes suprantam, ką nori pasakyti. You're just wrong.
Made to the cops pulling over one black person and locking everyone up.
I understand what you're saying.
And my tweet having issues. Wait a second, I wasn't done with the sentence. My tweet referring to all Jewish people, and I said, for the sake of this conversation, I will refer to the business people who have destroyed me and...
Jo, vėlgi, jisai bando pasakyti, kad aš tik paaiškinu ir sakau, kad dabar aš pamirškim tą tweetą ir šnekėsim apie tai, bet mes nenorim pamiršti tweetą, nes klausimas yra ne tas, kad ar tu dabar pakeisti tą tweetą ir dabar kalbėsim apie kitką, o jis klausia būtent apie tą tweetą, kad kai tokį parašai, kad tai yra rasizmas ir tu to nepripažinai. Čia tos klausimas buvo. Nes tai yra 100% rasizmas.
And my fellow creatives, but you didn't even accept that I gave you that. You tried to push me back into 1960.
No, I didn't.
You tried to push me back into last week.
No, I didn't.
Okay, do you accept that example that I gave you?
I understand completely the example you gave me. I think all racism is wrong.
So I feel that we've grown.
I would like you to reflect.
I feel we've grown. Do you feel we've grown?
If you've now changed what you wanted to say originally, my question for you is, do you now regret saying DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? Are you sorry you said that?
No.
I think it matters. You should be.
Absolutely not.
You should be.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but you should be.
Absolutely not. Are the people, the Jewish businessmen that led me to that place, are they sorry for the way they've raped my
I don't know who you're talking about in particular, but I don't know why you keep having to say they're Jewish.
The way,
what is the fact they're Jewish got to do with anything? Why do you keep doing that?
What do you mean? They're the Jewish businessmen that did that. Because
they're business people.
That's what they...
Pala, blet, įdomu, kaip Kanye Westas reaguotų, jeigu pradėtum jam sakyti tą prieš juodaodžius rasistinę visą tą retoriką, kur ten Nick Fuentes vis tiek kartoja, kad ten visi juodaodžiai vagis, ten, ne visi, o didžioji dauguma, tarkim, ir jis, nes čia lygiai tą pačią retoriką jie diktuoja. Juodaodžiai vagis, ten juodaodžiai tar, jiems nesvarbu kodėl, nesvarbu niekas, tiesiog rasistai yra. Nes turi keletą pavyzdžių iš savo asmeninio gal gyvenimo, kai juodaodžiais ar apgavo, ar apiplėšė, ar užpuolė, ir tada jie patampa rasistais tokiu atveju. Tai čia Kanye Westas tą patį daro. Ir jisai tada paaiškintų, kadangi su manim taip elgiasi, tai aš dabar taip elgsiuos. Okei, tu gali tokią nuomonę turėti, bet tu turi pripažinti, kad abu šitie dalykai yra rasizmas. Bet jis kažkodėl nepripažįsta, kad tai, ką jis daro, rasizmas, kas, I guess, weird yra.
Why do you keep saying Jewish business people? Why do you keep using their religion, their ethnicity? Why do you keep doing that?
Let me update it then. Okay, so I'll say this. Would I have grown into the box you want me to go on if I say to specify the business people that have raped my people that just so happen to be Jewish?
I think by doing what you've just done, I find that I'm not even Jewish and I find that offensive. Why do you keep having to do that? I don't think you get it at all. I don't think you understand the offense you're causing when you keep using their religious background, their ethnicity, as a stick to beat them with. Why would you do that?
So what are you more concerned about? Getting the richest black man?
Įdomu, kiek dabar visų tų extra right-wingerių, visokių groiperių ir panašiai actually dabar visur palaiko Kanye Westą. po va šitų visų pasisakymų. Ir įdomu, ar tas palaikymas toliau neformuos Kanye West tų pozicijų ir toliau jis neis į tas visas konspiracijos.
Of all time to cowtail because it's not gonna happen.
I don't want you to cowtail. You can do what the hell you like. You're a billionaire. You can do what the hell you want. I'm just saying to you that I don't think you quite understand when you talk about. Okay, can I finish?
It's not Moti.
You're a multi-billionaire. Okay, well, congratulations. But that doesn't change the fact that when you insult the Jewish people and say you're going DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people, that is as racist as anything you say you've been through and any pain that you've experienced. It's the same thing. Racism is racism. And you know that, I think, don't you?
Yeah, obviously. That's why I said it.
So you said it knowing it's racist?
Yes.
Oh,
Fire with fire.
Ok, mes daėjom. Negaliu patikėti. Ok, that's fine. Tik, nahui reikėjo 20 minučių čia rėtis apie tai, blėt. Galėjai tiesiog iš karto pasakyti, bet 20 minučių neįgėjai, blėt. Ir paskui istorijas, visi Okay.
I'm not here to get hosed down.
At least that's honest.
A different type of freedom fighter.
That's honest. All right. You were racist because you knew it was racist, but you decided to do that because people have been racist to you. Is that your position?
No, I'm not. First of all,
What do you mean? Nes jisai 20 minučių nepritarė, kad tai rasizmas. Tame esmė. Ir dabar mes galim toliau šnekėti, kad fight fire with fire neveikia, kad rasizmu kovoti prieš rasizmą negerai. Bet 20 minučių kalbėjo ir Kanye nepritarė, kad tai rasizmas buvo. That's the point. What do you mean? What do you mean?
What is the beginning? Read the whole tweet. I'm sure you have it in front of it. Somebody in your office has it. Get him a coffee and a yay tweet.
What do you want to know? The whole tweet?
I want you to read it out loud, sir.
I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. That was the exact tweet.
I like reading that whole thing. I can't be anti-Semite. I love Jewish people. I work with Jewish people. Yo, watch this. Some of my best friends are Jewish.
Right. So you know how that sounds.
How many times have you heard that statement?
Of course.
Yeah, but
have we ever heard that term before? But the funny thing is, they are. I work with Dove Charney that got kicked out of his company, out of American Apparel. I work with this guy every day. He's like my twin. He's one of my favorite people in the planet, and we work through that, and we talk through it, and he says, yay, why are you so mad? And I'm like, this is why I'm mad. This contract right here, what's gonna happen before I'm done, we're gonna open up all of the music industry contracts, all of the publishing deals, all of the athlete deals, all of the acting deals, all of the mortgages, all of the deals.
But that's fine. But yeah, that's all fine.
Business people who we went at.
That's all fine. You can do all that.
But it has to start somewhere.
Of course you can do all that. And when you do that,
it has to start somewhere.
I hope you won't be judged as a black business person doing it all the time. That people don't phrase it all the time by the color of your skin, but by your business acumen. Isn't that what you would like? Isn't that what equality actually means?
Of course I'll be judged by that, because when people come into power, people get judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody that gets judged more than a straight white male. The straight white male has the least amount of a platform to even speak. A straight white male can't say, my wife hurt me today, because people will say, well, you're hurting women. A straight white male can't say, hey, a black employee didn't come in to work on time, because then people will say, you're racist. A straight white male can't speak.
Čia tas teisybė, kad dabar labai didelis dėmesys mažumoms ir panašiai, ir aukoms. Straight white male yra mažiausiai auka, mažiausiai, tipo, ir kad iš tos pusės, jūs tą gali sakyti, čia true turbūt, jo.
A homosexual person, because they'll say you're
nematau, kaip tai susijęs su ką Piersas klausė, bet
I empathize with the position of the straight white male, and part of the reason why I empathize with that position is because I know that I'm headed to that position. And what position that is? Top power position.
Okay.
That's the top power position where you get all the rocks thrown.
Do you mean
And that's the
do you mean white power?
thing. I have friends, right, that will like, actually that's the reason why I'm going to be a good leader someday, because I'm really empathetic. But I call black people out on their stuff. I call white people out on their stuff, because we're all people. We're actually only
And
one
you're also
species.
pretty retarded, but
And in
yeah,
order
okay.
to, whether it's my friends texting me like, bro, you got to get in the gym. You're looking chubby in the photo. It's like we have to hold each other accountable to what's actually happening. And it's so much is based on you did that tweet wrong. So what I will say is, I feel that my words demand more sensitivity for the frequency that I'm operating at and and the amount of people that I'm communicating to. And I take that responsibility right now. But I will also say everything happens for a reason. Because if it had been perfectly worded in English, and because there's nothing whiter than English itself, right? I'm already not speaking in my mother tongue, right? So if I had perfectly worded it in the most sensitive way, then we wouldn't be here right now. Now we're opening up the conversation. I'm not allowed to say whether or not I'm running for office in 2024, but I'll tell you what, if the left, let's say the left would have never supported me anyway. And now I've got to call to attention, I am who you should support. The left did not allow Trump to be president. They treated
Čia legit jau kaip promois, jau kaip ranina į prezidentus, ne jau kalbą duoda, kodėl turėtų jį supportinti.
him like he wasn't even the president. So even then he won, he was losing half of the American people every day, and it divided the country. What I'm saying, whoever goes into office, for British media, for American media, we must support our leaders and not just run this hyper negative. You know what I will? And black people hate when I apologize for this. When I see people like John Legend and Chrissy Teigen talk down on the president, I'm like, wow, that kind of sounds like me. That kind of sounds like the telethon. I opened up this level of disrespect towards our leaders. And people were happy. And the left saw that and say, well, let's just have every celebrity do what Ye did at the telethon. So I take responsibility for that moment. And you know what? I just want to give every Jewish person a big hug. Also, I'm envious of the Jewish people. I'm envious of how they don't abort their children. I'm envious of how they don't shoot each other in the streets and then rap about it. I'm envious of how their families stay together. I'm envious that they turn their phones off on Friday night and the family comes together. I'm envious of how they do the business together. And I want that for the darker Jews. I want that for the black people. I want that. We need that. God said we should remove the word want, right?
Okay.
We're going to have that.
Okay.
And this is the beginning of it.
But it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you are acknowledging, as you've just acknowledged that it was wrong to say what you said about President Bush when he said he doesn't care about black people, and that may have encouraged all this disrespect towards presidents since. I think it's an interesting point you made. It does seem to me, Ye, talking to you, that even if it's hard for you to admit this, that you do regret the wording of that tweet which caused all the problems, and you wouldn't phrase it that way again. Am I right?
I would tell my dad that. My dad loved the White Lives Matter T-shirt because what audacity does a black man have to wear the exact same T-shirt that a white man could wear? And my dad was a Black Panther. I mean, we have a water purification center. He's like the original Steve Jobs. Right. He's the educated version of me, right? And he liked both of those things, but he said, Ye, he even calls me Ye now. He's like, Ye, you've got to be more sophisticated with your wording. And that wording, like I said, I'm a bit sleepy. And it lacked the sophistication needed to be the true conductor that I am. Because it's the conductor's job to bring people together. And that was divisive, which is not who I want to be.
Right. So
so I'll tell you that. I'm not looking. And also, let me put out right now.
So it sounds like you agree with me. Do you agree with me then?
This man's delusional. Čia jis ką pasakė, jis, biškai gal per aplinkui, bet jis atsakė į klausimą, gal tiesiai, jis vėlgi negali pasakyti jo. Bet realiai jo, jis ką ir pripažino, kad, ne pats geriausias parašytas tweetas buvo ir tipo.
to talk.
Prie ko čia delusional šitoj bent jau vietoj. Anksčiau gal galėtų skaityti dėl šito atsakymo, tai ką žinai.
Do actually have severe mental health issues, you know, the word retarded for, you know, there's parents that have children who actually are mentally ill, and that word is really offensive to those people.
So why use it?
And just because I was feeling well, it's a couple reasons. Because people call me retarded. They treat me like I'm retarded. And so I embrace it. It's like you call somebody a so much, they say, I'm You call somebody a bitch so much, they say, I'm a bitch. You call somebody a retarded so much, you say, I'm retarded. Like, I was exhausted, and I embraced the idea of having a serious mental health.
Iškart sakau, Vilgaudai, aš tam prašiau, gal šiandien nespėsim niekaip, nes šito video dar liko belenkiek, tai rytoj žiūrėsiu šitą. O ten tema nežinau, ne. Ten Malinauskas buvo toj laidoje, nežinau, kokia ten tema bus, nepasakysiu.
Issue.
Nes nežiūrėjau dar, pas jos title nėra temų parašyta.
Noah also, but Moses was basically on speed when he was doing what he did.
Let me ask you, by the way, look, out of interest, how much sleep do you get a night?
I'm not here to talk about how much sleep I get. Well, I don't owe you that.
You've literally just been talking about...
How much sleep do you get a night?
I had about 5.5 hours last night, actually. Not very much. But you're the one that's raised this issue.
And I probably had the same.
Right. My question is only because... I probably had
the same, but
it's only because you've been talking about you don't believe you have a mental illness. You think it's lack of sleep. So I think it's an obvious question to ask, well, how much sleep do you get? Are you constantly sleep deprived? Is that one of the reasons, perhaps sometimes, as you say, you feel sleepy and you shoot from the hip verbally and you say stuff that maybe when you're rested...
Čia turbūt Piersas gal visai neblogą temą atskleidė, nes prieš tai Kanye Westas irgi pasakė, kad I'm exhausted ten ir panašiai, kad aš ne mentally challenged, ten ne bipolinį turiu, ne mental illness, o aš tiesiog exhausted esu. Tai, nes logiška realiai būtų, jeigu tau pastoviai ten trūksta miego, ten tu vos ne kaip girtas ir mašinos negali vairuoti, liktais, jeigu ten labai mažai miego turėjai ir panašiai, nes actually... Kaip ten buvo, jeigu tu esi labai sleep deprived, kad realiai efektas ant tavo smegenų, reakcijos, koordinacijos ant visko, realiai toks pat, negu kad girtas, kad būtum, jeigu kad girtas būtum. Toks pat, kaip kad girtas, kad būtum. Nesvarbu. Tai čia gal ir įdomu, ir tada reiktų klausti, ar tu vaistų geri tada. Nes, jeigu jis nemiega, pastoviai exhausted, tai dar kokių vaistų geria, kas ten žino, kas jo, galvoj daros vien dėl to, nes ten jau migla gali prasidėti, I don't know.
You wouldn't say it the same way.
I don't know.
Would that be fair?
Tell me what's... Okay, no, it's not fair, because what's more important, the pain and the truth of what I'm talking about and what led me to that tweet, or the tweet itself?
Both are
important.
I think
both can be true. Because the problem you have is, I think you've acknowledged...
one tweet,
I think you've acknowledged that the wording of the tweet was offensive.
Years.
Yes, I understand, but you know the damage it caused, and I
understand that was offensive.
And I think that you have accepted you probably shouldn't have phrased it that way. You as a white...
Tas damage it caused, tai čia... gal čia yra tas Kanye Westo pointas, ką jis nepasakė, bet gal nori pasakyti, kad tipo... gal dar pasakysiu, aš žinau. Kiek iš tikro žalos tas tweetas padarė? Jis turi absurdiškai didelį auditoriją. Gal biškai padarė daugiau žalos, bet tas noras sureikšminti visus tokius tweetus, kai tik kažkas garsesnio pasako kažką edgy joke ar kažkokį racist joke, trytina kaip pasaulio pabaiga, tu elgiasi kaip legit, tu esi blogiausias žmogus ant visatos, mes turim tave nuteisti, iškastruoti, ten užmušti tiesiog. Jo, tipo, tada atsiranda tokie žmonės kaip Kanye Westas, kuris sako, fuck you, blėt. Jo, aš paskui rasistišką barį, gal ir neskaičiu antrą kartą, bet fuck you su tavo ta moralė. Tipo, jau net nesvarbu, kad tu neteisus ar kažkas, net nekenti to responso, kurį gauni. Ir šitą labai gerai turbūt galima suprasti, kai atrodo, seni, tu pats nesi idealus, ko čia dabar mane kryžiuoji už kažkokį vieną barį paskaitą, kuris nieko ten daug nesuteiks, tai yra, padarinių neturės. Kanye West atveju, gal tai gali padarinių turėti, tipo, I don't know, nes labai jau didelį auditoriją turi, viskas keičiasi, kai tu tokią auditoriją turi, bet, Kanye West lygiai taip pat bando cancelinti ir užtildyti ir panašiai, lygiai taip pat kaip bet kokį su 10 followerių parašyti kažkokią nesąmonę. Vietoj to, kad praignoruotų ir tiesiog pasakyti, kad čia nusišneki seni, jie tiesiog iš karto atkreipia dėmesį, tai klykia, tiesiog susiranda, kad tai yra didžiausia problema planetoje ir aš išspręsiu tą problemą ir geriau aplink save pasijausiu. Aš tų leftistų dėl to nieks ir nekenčia, tai yra visi ir nekenčia.
Are so stuck on the idea that what I said was offensive, which is a very caring approach. You're not sticking on the fact. You have not unpacked what happened with those contracts.
Čia aš nemeikinu sens, kad atrodo viską labai normaliai pasakiau. Ar nieks nesuprato, ką pasakiau, ir visi supratot, ką pasakiau? Man atrodo, kad čia tu tiesiog nesupratai.
I've said that, but you didn't ask me another question about it. That means there's an agenda.
Absolutely not.
Inside of your platform.
I have repeatedly said to you that I'm sure I do not disbelieve that you've had contract business issues with various managers, accountants, and so on. My argument is that when you do it,
me or other me's.
I'm sure many other artists in the music business. Yeah, of course.
You know why you're sure? Because you don't care to do the research because it doesn't affect you.
No, it's because you said.
Have you done any research?
No. Yeah, let me explain to you. I'm not doubting what you're saying.
You don't care.
I do care.
You don't care about me. You don't care about my people. I care about me. I care about my people. So it's for me to stand up. And God forbid I step on someone's toes while I'm at it.
It's not someone's toes. You stepped on the entire Jewish people's toes with a very deeply inflammatory tweet, which I think you've now accepted. You shouldn't have phrased that way. It's taken a bit of time to get there, but I think you have accepted that, right?
Jo, Kanye Westas turi problemų su to deeply inflammatory, tipo, su to sureikšinimu to statemento, kuris galėtų pasakyti, it was racism, kaip ir pasakė, it was racism, I just fight fire with fire, okay. Bet tas, toks smarkus signalizavimas, kad tai yra pats blogiausias dalykas planetui, man atrodo, Kanye Westas su to problemu turi. Vienas iš tų, kur negirdi, ką kalbu, okay. Pasakai, kad žmonės su milžinišku audience neturėtų būti teisiami už rasistinius išsireiškimus. Nesakiau taip. Kai jų fanboy audience tokie išsireiškimai gali turėti didelį įtaką, net nekalbu jaunesnius žmonės. Aš tą irgi pasakiau, kad tikrai turi įtaką, kai jis toks masyvus yra. Bet matai, tu negirdi, ką sakiau. Make sense. Klausykis kitą kartą. Ne ką galvoji, ką pasakiau, o ką actually pasakiau.
Have you accepted that you've put no effort into understanding how I got there?
I don't think, honestly,
10 years from now.
Honestly, I don't think there is any...
You're going to apologize to me about this interview.
I'm not.
You're going to apologize to me about this interview within the next 10 years.
No, I'm not, because here's the thing.
Mark my words.
I don't doubt you've had...
It's very one-sided.
No, it's not.
It's very white-sided.
Oh, come on,
It's very one-sided. It's very like...
It's not white-sided. I'm not doubting you've had business issues. I'm saying the way to respond to that is not to go public to millions of people and say you're going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Millions of people... Right. Millions of people have had DEFCON 3 on their contracts.
Right. You didn't say that. You didn't say that.
And said, millions of people, well, I opened it up. Now, I didn't, but now I'm saying it now, sir.
Okay, so now what I think you should say, I think you should say to the Jewish people, I'm sorry for the offensive language I used in that.
Jo, va čia yra fucking problema. Niekad neatsiprašinės, blėt. Niekad neatsiprašinės. Fuck you. Aš irgi neatsiprašinėčiau. Va, tipo, kai kur ir reiktų, bet kai, blėt, kai kažką pasakai, ar edgy, ar ten, Kanye West atveju, rasist, ar kažką, ir gyveni kultūrai, kur kiekvieną akimirką tave verčia atsiprašinėti už kažką. Atsiprašyk už tą, nedaryk to, nesakyk, atsiprašyk už tą žodį, atsiprašyk, visi daro tos, arba atsiprašyk, arba mes tave nukancelinsim. Fuck you. Tiesiog antiek dapisa, kad tu tada, kad ir pusnė teisus, tu niekada nepripažinsi ir tikrai niekada neatsiprašinėsi. Tai tu at some point turi paleisti tą ir eiti dialogas toliau. Nes niekad Kanye Westas, gal aš žinau, bet niekad tu nepriversi žmogaus, kad atsiprašinėtų, kai to ir nekenčia iš tavo tos tipo politinės pusės. Kur tu dabar atsiprašyk. Neatsiprašysiu, bet tu pasakai tokį baisų dalyką. Jo, ir man pohui. Nu, vat grinai, nu ir kaip jie gali tą išspręsti? Nu, tipo, vienas dabar sakys, lieps atsiprašinėti, kitas, vat neatsiprašinėsiu, nes fuck you ir viskas. Ir va čia tą ir matom. Piersas Morganas, nežinau, 20 minučių bando. Bet tai tu supranti, kad čia rasizmas buvo, Kanye Westai. Nu, gerai, po 20 minučių, jo, rasizmas buvo. Ir man vienodai pasakė, realiai, rasizmas buvo, aš su ugnim kovau prieš ugnį. Ir man pohui. Ir dabar likusias dar 20 minučių, dabar Piersas Morganas, tai bet tu turėjai tada kitaip pasakyti tą tweetą, jo. Atsiprašyk dabar už tą tweetą ir pakeisk, tipo, nu, koks čia efektyvus diskursas. Ir jo, tipo, visus reikia laikyti accountable. Tiesiog, nu, ar čia buvo pasaulio pabaiga? Netgi žmogus su vienu didžiausiu followingu ever. Jo, jis padarė žalos su to, įžeidė kažką. Jo, bet ar tai tikrai pasaulio pabaiga? Ne, tai nėra pasaulio blet pabaiga. Come on. Jūsų prezidentas padarė daug net blogesnių dalykų. Ką Trumpas padarė? Ar tai buvo pasaulio pabaiga? Irgi nebuvo pasaulio pabaiga. Nu, bet tipo tas... Čia verčių signalimas iki tokio to the max yra ir jo, tu turi tas verčių ir viskas gerai, nu, bet kažkada žmonės užpės ir jie tiesiog pasiūs tave ir jiems pohui bus. Ką tu sakai, ar tu prašai atsiprašymą, va čia Kanye Westas šitoj vietoj. Ir dar jisai va turi tą influenciją ir gyveno tarp tokių žmonių ir dapiso ir tiesiog jis. Tą suprantu. Turbūt visi tą supranta. I
wouldn't do that again. This is what I really meant. I think people would respect you if you said that. I don't know why you can't just say that.
Jie niekad ne... Va čia yra dalykas. Piersas Morganas ką galvoja, kad jeigu tu leftistų atsiprašysi, jie pamirš ir respektins už tai. Ne. Neveltui yra gimęs posakis never apologize. Niekad neatsiprašinėk už nieką niekada. Kai leftistai ypač prašo atsiprašinėti, niekad už nieką neatsiprašinėk. Tu gali pasikeis daugiau taip nedaryti, bet niekad neatsiprašinėk. Nes tos pagarbos arba pasakymo, nu jo, gerai, jisai atsiprašė ir viskas gerai. To nėra. Kaip matėm, to nėra. Jie visą gyvenimą Kanye Westą vadins taip, rasistų ten vadins, psichopatų ir jiems apšiai vienodai. Taip, kad Kanye Westas čia dabar atsiprašydamas realiai nieko nepasiektų. Tipo, leftistai tie, kurie stumia, vis tiek toliau varys ir viskas. Ir čia visiems vienodai. Tai Piers Morganas tikrai klysta dėl to bent. Jie tik primeta, kad reikia tik atsiprašymą, jie nori, kad būtum sužlugdytas, netektum darbą. Va, būtent, yes, exactly. Ir kai toje aplinkoje tu užaugi ir tiek pavyzdžių matei, kaip leftistam netgi atsiprašius, nieks nepasikeičia, kaip tik tada tav ir nukancelina realiai. Nes kažkaip, kai tu atsiprašai, tu tarsi pripažinai, kad kažką blogai padarai ir they got you. Ir jie tada tave nukancelina, tipo, nu dabar tu atsiprašai ir turi dabar atpirkti nuodėmės ir dink iš interneto, žinai. Jeigu tiesiog ignoruoji ir darai savo dalyką, ir jie kaip ir nebeturi, kartuosi, aišku, toliau, bet jie ir taip kartuos ant tavęs tos dalykus. Tai kam tada tau atsiprašinėti? Kiek daug pavyzdžių buvo, kur nukancelina taip žmonės, ar ten, atsiprašo kažkas ir dar didesnis backlashas tada. Tu blogai atsiprašai, tu nenuoširdus buvai, veidmainis ten, Jėzau, dar blogiau būna. Tipo, todėl ir atsirado per pasnius 5 metus, tiesiog neatsiprašinėk. Fuck that shit.
Let me, you know when I'll say it? When I sit down with the people who write out the contracts for the NBA and for the NFL and for professional music and for acting contracts. We need to go to the top lawyers, the top execs, the owners of the stadiums, the owners of the football teams, and the owners of the record labels. And we're going to put them all in one room. And we're going to read let's go top 10 in each one of these.
Įsivaizduokit, blet, ir jis pasakytų, we're going to put them all in one room and gas them. Kto nahui, blet.
Categories, right? Let's read Michael B. Jordan's
contract. Why would any of that? Okay, but why would any of that? Why would any of that?
Hey, bro, I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has anything to do with regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me boy.
Don't finish. I told you. Oh, don't treat me like a boy then. I'm going to finish my sentence of my idea.
Nothing you're saying has got anything to do with the tweet.
Cool. Bro, I was in the middle of a sentence, boy. Okay, so are you going to allow me to finish my sentence?
Yes. If you then answer my...
Piersas galvoja, kad čia nieko nesusiję, bet realiai susiję, taip kaip Kanye Westas nori atsakyti, kad jis nori sukelt skausmą ir chaosą ir, kaip jis sako, aš pakeisiu žodį ir atsiprašysiu vos ne, tada, kai galės surinkti visus tos žmonės ir ištaisyti šitą didelį injustice, tipo, kaip jis masto. Nes jam kovoti prieš rasizmą su rasizmu ar kažką, kaip jisai pasakė, fight fire with fire, yra fine, primtina. Tai, ką Piersas Morganas čia sako, jis klysti dabar, kad tu čia nieko bendro nesakai su mano klausimu. Jis labai susiję, net čia yra. Tik ne toks atsakymas, kokio tu nori, nes tu nori, kai jis apgailestautų.
This is what has to happen first. I need all of the top executives in Hollywood. I need the top executives at the NBA and at the NFL. We'll do those two sports specifically. And I want the top executives in music, dealing with publishing, dealing with like Spotify and Apple Music and Universal Music and all the top let's do like 5 top execs there. And I want to look at the top 10 earners in each one of those fields' contracts openly. We want to compare and contrast the contracts. And then once we open that conversation, and we need to do it on a platform live with lawyers asking questions, and we'll have the top lawyers like a Johnny Cochran, Robert Kardashian level legal team, looking at all of these contracts together. After that moment happens, then I will say, I'm sorry.
Okay, if that's your position.
Interview adjourned. Love you.
Okay, that's the end of the interview. I mean, I just get the feeling from you that you're obviously a complex character.
Tai čia jisai adjourn pasakė, kad baigęs. Jo, bet jis tada grįžo.
Brilliant in many ways, fascinating, like I say, compelling. You have a huge appeal to millions of people around the world. It just seems to me that occasionally your mouth gets you into trouble and that perhaps on reflection, sometimes you look back and wish you hadn't said things. Is that accurate?
Nah, not really.
Ar tu tikrai klausi to klausimą? Jis tiek kartų jau pasakė, kad jam pochui tas yra.
On behalf of God, like, it's not always godly because I'm a man, but God is definitely using me. You're Catholic faith?
I am,
what's
yes.
your background?
I am Catholic. Catholic, yeah.
Well, we're working for God here. And it's just like with black people now with entertainment, we're coming into wealth, but all the other, black people with anywhere near my amount of wealth would never cross the lines of, taboos inside of the media that I would, that actually we used to in rap. All these words, we used to say these, so it's all these like words that are being removed from our vocabulary, words that evoke emotion. Don't you feel like the salt is being taken out of our food? Look at Dune. The people who control the salt controlled all the money. And people are trying to control the salt.
Čia legit ta istorija, kaip aš papasakau hipotetinį. Čia jo mintis taip ir dėliojas, legit, ir jis nepabėga iš to rato. Kažkokio jo gali paklausti klausimą ir dabar... Kaip čia? Don't you feel like the salt is being taken out of our food, look at Dune, tada prisiminė, žiūrėkit tą Dune filmą, kas kontroliuoja tą, tada prisiminė dar ir tęsis, ir jis taip nukrypsta toli. Jesus.
Controlled all the money. And people are trying to control the salt, and it's salt in our language. That's why I will not apologize for having a bit of salt in my words. I will say, hey, this can be improved on, but it's like, hey, look, I'm going to update. You're looking at the God's iPhone 100.
Tai, ką jis čia sako, mintis nėra bloga. Taip, kaip jis sako, Dieve mano, fuck me, nieks nesupras, blėt. Bet pati idėja, nes Piersas Morganas bando jį spaust. Gerai, tu pasakai dalykus ir ar paskui gailies, ką pasakei. Ir Kanės atsakymas? Ne. Nes taip, kaip pažiūri tą, tu gali pasakyti kažką šūdino, bet tu tada pasimokai, gal pasigaili, Ir evolvini, eini toliau ir viskas. Ir jo kartais pasakau biškai edgy, kažką rasistiško biškai pasakau. Tai nebus pasaulio pabaiga ir aš toliau gyvensiu ir tipo, kažką biškai geriau padarysiu ir viskas. Bet ko jis nedarys, tai ką tipo leftistai nori, kad atsiprašinėk, repent, gailėkis, ant kelių, dabar, toj pat. Jis prieš tai yra. Bet taip, kaip jis tą pasako, taip, kaip jis tą išreiškia, kad 20 minučių dėl paprasčiausio dalyko ginčės. Bet labai čia paprasta pozicija ir manau daug kas nenori ten klauptis kiekvieną kartą, kai pasako kažką biškai edgy, kas ten kažką įžeidė ir ten dabar tave verčia atsiprašinėti ir gailėtis. Fuck you.
We are God's iPhone, right?
Bet čia jo, čia...
About it, we're his favorite creation. We were
kaip jis
made in his
atsakinėja,
image.
tai tikras menininkas, na.
We need updates. And society, capitalism, media, and thought police have been stopping us from our updates. We have to have a thought, and then we have to actualize it. I like the word actualize better than execute, because execute's a negative word. We discussed this. We have to actualize. There's so many, think about, you know, for a homosexual kid, age 12 at school, not wanting to say out loud how he felt, or feeling like if he said how he felt, he would get bullied. Or what if he said how he felt, and then somebody said, you said the way you felt, and what your experience was in the wrong way. Now you need to apologize. We're fine that you felt that way, but you need to apologize for the way you said it. But just having the courage to do it in the first place would be, you know, that's the thing that needs to be given credit. Like, yeah, you know what? We'll say in these past 2 weeks, I made a big splash. Because the first time you dive in the deep end, you're not going to look like an Olympic swimmer. But we're going to have to learn how to swim. And I've dived in the deep end.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you about...
Jo, man atrodo, aš supratau irgi. Man atrodo, jo, Pirsas irgi suprato. Tipo, jo, tipo, kad aš atėjau į šitą maždaug ringą, save įmečiau, kaip sakant, ir gal aš klystu, gal viską labai gerai, teisingai neparašau, bet mokysiuos, tipo, sužinosiu, bet tikrai neatsiprašinėsiu už kiekvieną dalyką, ką pasakiau.
About your family, yeah, lots of speculation, of course, constantly.
If you understand...
Jei vieną žiūrėčiau šitą video, tai man pamės per pirmus 10 minučių, gačiu, tipo, jo, čia narplėti, blet, nu, na.
You know what I'm saying? Could you translate what I'm saying?
Yes.
I want you to translate what I said.
I know what...
And then let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Ble, įdomu, vat aš jam translatinčiau ir jisai sakytų, jo, you understood me. Jeigu aš pateikčiau jam, kaip aš supratau, tipo. Nes man atrodo, aš labai supratau, ką jis nori pasakyti. Ir man atrodo, Pirsas suprato, žinoma, kaip Pirsas įvardins.
Let me attempt to translate.
What did I mean by that?
I think what she meant was that you are not afraid to ruffle feathers. You're not afraid to cause trouble where you feel it's justified. You're not afraid to call people out who you think deserve to be called out. But that occasionally you've expressed yourself in a way that perhaps hasn't quite hit the right mark, and that you are work in progress, as indeed we all are, and that you could phrase things better, which would cause less offense to a wider number of people, when in fact the target of your anger may be much more specific. That would be my interpretation of what you've just said.
Nu, ir pamiršai to, kad tame work in progress nesakykit man, kad atsiprašinėčiau už viską, nes aš nieką neatsiprašinėsiu jums už nieką. Nu, tipo, čia tą dalyką dar svarbu gan yra, bet pretty much to be.
Do you think that we can move forward as a civilization without there being any offense? Because one person's truth can be the other person's lie.
I think it entirely depends.
You know, it's like,
I think it entirely depends. Honestly, part of me wants to say yes to that, but I do think there is a line, and we should all be mindful of the line. And the line to me is, I don't think any form of racism or perceived racism should ever be tolerated. I don't think that is free speech. It's just hate speech. And I think one of the problems with what you said about the Jewish people was the more generic way that you phrased that sentence. People didn't understand you were talking about specific business people you'd had a problem with. They thought you genuinely meant you were going DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people. And they took that to be a blatant form of anti-Semitism. I think you've explained in this interview that was not your intention at all, which is good. But I think if you're asking me to interpret what you've just said yourself, that would be my interpretation. That, you know, you're work in progress, and sometimes you say stuff which doesn't quite get over what you're really meaning.
But what I really mean is, I don't want it to be settled. I don't want to be forgiven by Jewish people.
Blet, man nepatiko, Piersas Morganas pakeitė, vėl grįžo prie to tweeto, bet ką Kanye West pasakė, aš atsuksiu biškai. Čia...
Out there being any offense.
Va.
Can move forward. Do you think that we can move forward as a civilization without there being any offense? Because one person's truth can be the other person's lie.
Čia yra geras klausimas. Man patinka šitas klausimas, nes apie jį galim šnekėti. Ar mes galim judėti prieki kaip civilizacija be, įsižeidimo? Nes vieno žmogaus teisybė gali būti kito žmogaus, melas. Ir man patinka šitas klausimas. Nes dabar tu, ką be pasakytum, tu kažką įžeisi. Ir kad ir kokią mažą procentą žmonių įžeisi, tie žmonės tada gali sakyti, mes esame mažuma kažkokia, ir mus įžeidė ir dabar tave reikia nukancelinti. Ir taip limituojama žmogus, saviraiškai iš esmės. Aišku, tai čia supaprasti labai. Ir aš irgi norėčiau, kad žmonės galėtų sakyti dalykus ir žmonės nepultų įsižeidinėti ir, o Dieve, aš įsižeidžiau, atsiprašyk manęs, davai užtildom jį. O tiesiog kalbėtų tada, žiūrėk, seni, čia tiesiog klysti. Ir kiekvieno žmogaus teisybė gali būti kito žmogaus melas, bet reikia pripažinti ir kad yra objektyvi teisybė. Ne tik nuomonės, ne tik yra dalykai tam tikri, kurie yra objektyvūs ar logiški. Ir man atrodo, kad Kanye Westas, ko nelabai gal, nežinau, sunku pasakyti. Taip kaip jisai kalba ir mąsto, gal jis galvoja, kad to objektyvumo ir nėra. Arba bent jau kaip su to daktaru, paaišku, kodėl George Floydas mirė, tas nupirktas. Kaip tada išspręs tą problemą, jeigu tu niekom netiki? Bet, jeigu tu niekom netiki ir daktarais netiki, nes visi jie nupirkti yra, tai tada kaip tu ir mokslininkais netikėsi, kaip tu tada iš vis kažkuom tikėsi ir kaip tu žinosi teisybę. Tada teisybė tavo pasaulyje visiškai neegzistuoja. Nes visi gali būti nupirkti. O jeigu visi gali nupirkti ir mokslininkai ir viskas, nes mokslo procesas yra vienintelis procesas, kur apskritai tą teisybę bando rasti ir link jos eina. Tai jeigu tu netiki tom, nes tavo pateisimas yra, kad tai gali būti nupirkta, tai tada tavo pasaulyje teisybė net negali egzistuoti. Tai va čia yra dalykas. Tai tada one person's truth can be another person's lie, bet truth yra visiškai tavo nuomonė ir viskas. I guess gal jis tą ir nori pasakyti, kad jam nesvarbu netgi teisybė, svarbu, kad už jo nuomonę nieks jo iš šuns dienas nedėtų, kad ir jo nuomonė tūpa ten ar whatever, ar įžeidžia kažką. Čia būtų įdomu, bet tada Piersas apie tą tweetą pradėjo šnekėti, grįžtam atgal.
Blatant form of that would be my interpretation. That, doesn't quite...
I don't want it to be settled. I don't want to be forgiven by Jewish people until we get to what the problem really is. I don't want, like Elon, he got on Twitter, he said, I talked to Ye, he took it to heart. And I liked my boy standing up for me, but I was like, the fight isn't done though. Everybody, white media, left media, they just want to squash the fight. They want to keep the pain of George Floyd going, right? But they don't want the pain of our representatives.
What did Elon Musk say to you about the tweet, out of interest?
It's vague to me right now. I don't want to misquote him.
What was the general?
It's vague to me.
What was the general point of what he was saying?
Čia žvejoja Piers Morganas. Uždėjo meškerę ir metė ir žvejoja.
It's truly vague to me. I'm an honest person. I tell you what it was. But I keep on saying it's just always about this tweet. It's so much more. If you look back at this interview, and it's like a direction arrow, it's more in the direction of fixing the statement than fixing the problem.
I think both
and that's my problem.
I understand, but I would say to that I think they're two different things, and you can fix both actually. And I accept that part of what you were trying to do and the point you were trying to make, I completely understand it because you've explained it in more detail. On Elon Musk, there is a suggestion that when he gets control of Twitter, which seems likely now, that he will bring you back, he'll bring Donald Trump back. Do you think that would be right?
Of course.
It would be lit.
Yep.
Do you think it's wrong that you and Trump have been banned from
Absolutely.
these platforms?
Absolutely. I was talking to Trump a couple days ago, and he was like, I'm not going to do his voice, right? But he was saying...
do his voice.
You know, I had 277 million followers, and the next day I had nothing. And that related to, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta. You know,
Oh, God.
Mark Zuckerberg thinks he is the government. These tech companies feel they're more powerful than the U.S. government, to the point of actually kicking the actual president of the United States off of an American social media platform. This is the world we live in.
And I would say, listen, I agree with you, and I'll tell you why. I think it's completely inconsistent.
Bet, čia Piers Morganas su Andrew Tate šnekėjo. Jis yra irgi prieš cancelinimą. Čia ir aš, ir Kanye Westas, mes visi sutarėm, kad tas užbaninimas yra fucking retarded.
That companies like Facebook and Twitter allow people like the Ayatollah of Iran, for example, to remain on the platform, or Taliban people to be on the platform, but they don't allow an American president. That seems to me completely ludicrous.
Yes, and this is part of the 100-year plan that they have books on about, you know, China's takeover of America after losing the Industrial Revolution. Now, let's talk about business people. We won't refer to their race. And by the way, I'll tell you, as a Jew person, a person that has a lot of Jewish friends, it's not a race, it's a people.
Right.
And every Jewish homeboy I know is going to be like, yo, yeah, that's right. So, but it's hard to attract, it's hard to influence patriotism on capitalists. And it's a responsibility for us as Americans to retake our power in media, to retake our power in our schools, to retake our power in our farms, to retake our power in our medicine, in our hospitals, to revitalize the country, because America invented rock and roll at the end of the day.
Okay,
we have the inventions. America created Apple. You understand? Like, we created the platforms that the world runs on now, and we've allowed the business people in these companies to sell us, and whatever the term is, sell them in a handbag, whatever it is, for cheap. And Americans are God-fearing, for the most part, God-fearing Christian people, and we're not cheap, and we can't be sold for cheap. And we're here to stand up and say, you got to honor who we are, our families. You got to honor our God, Jesus Christ. So, next subject.
Can I ask you something? Let me ask you something else here. I want to ask you about your family, because you mentioned families there. A lot of stuff has been written about you and your family. A lot of it fueled by you, by Kim, by others. Where are things now with your family? What is your relationship like with Kim, with your kids?
Kim has Zionist media handlers surrounding her.
Oh no, čia bus blogai, blet, jis deranged apie Kim, kai, blet, ten viskas, kas vyksta aplinkui Kim, su jo, kiek mačiau, buvo biški išprotėję, ten man, oh god, tai ir dabar Piersas jo klausia, tai ką manai apie savo ex, apie kurią ten išprotėjęs buvai, oh god.
All in and out, her Hulu TV show, all in and out, her family, all in or out, the house that I created for my family. But God is alive, the devil is a defeated foe, and Kim is a Christian woman, and she's not here just to have content up on adult channels. She's not here just to have that last Interview magazine cover. If you look at the two Interview magazine covers, look at the one when I was there and look at the one when I'm not there. And that's the reason why this Tuskegee experiment of such that's happened to the black community, where they took the fathers out of the home and the leaders out of the community and have torn apart the community. Now they've seen that's worked, and they're doing that to America. They're attempting, they're trying.
I mean, that the interview magazine cover you're talking about, I think, is the one where she was basically semi-naked in front of the American flag. And I thought that was pretty distasteful, actually. It was about the American dream, and I thought, well, if that's the American dream, we're all screwed. I mean, in America.
Nežinau šito post.
And I agree with that. And I didn't feel the platform to voice my opinion, because I wanna. It's always like, hey, this is your kid's mother. But it's time where the leaders, like, I'm still the priest of that home, Chris. I'm still the priest of that home. They want to make it this matriarch society, all that, and you know. But I am the priest of this home, and God is alive. I am the living Robert Kardashian, and I'm going to stand up for what God would want as a Christian. And then people say as a Christian, oh, you're not supposed to curse. You're not supposed to have righteous indignation. But I do. You know, Christians had swords also. Christians got guns, I tell you that. You know, so.
But do you talk to Kim?
I
mean, there have been reports, that you and Kim don't really talk at the moment. She's distancing herself from you because of the stuff you've been saying was getting controversy. Is that true?
I mean, John Legend is distancing himself from me and buying more Christmas sweaters in the middle of spring also. So I'm not saying that, they're making the right decisions. She's being influenced. But I guarantee you what's not finna happen, we're not finna see her in one of them John Legend Christmas sweaters no time soon.
But do you talk to her? Are you still in touch with each other?
Wait a second, don't you think it's like funny to like make a joke out of stuff sometimes? Don't you think like God has a sense of humor?
Of course.
But watch this. God, when I got married, I bought this house. I did this tour and spent all the money I had on this house to like surprise Kim and give her this house that she wanted, that Lisa Marie Presley used to own. And
Man atrodo, Kanye krypsta į tą pusę.
I put all this money into renovation. And then there goes the neighborhood. Drake moves down the street 5 blocks. And that's when I knew God was funny.
Čia jau, prasideda grinai, aš tokį ten kažkokį padariau gerą dalyką ir panašiai, ir dabar, nes Piersas Morganas nusprendė paklaus apie asmeninius santykius, nes tokie yra asmeniniai santykiai, aišku, kai visas pasaulis žino apie jų tą dramą ir viską, bet, man nepatinka, kad Piersas Morganas apie tai pradėjo klausinėti apie šeimą ir grinai jau lysti. I don't know, kažkaip negeras toks jausmas. Tarsi du labai garsų žmonės susiskyrė, tu pasikvietė, kad pašnekėt vieną iš jų apie visai nesusijusius dalykus, bet tu dabar pradedi klausinėti apie tai, kaip jūs ten išsiskyrėt maždaug, ir pradedi kapstyti ir viską, ir Kanye Westas dabar, aišku, jau, man atrodo, krypsta labai ne į tą pusę, dabar jau pasakoja, prisimenu ten, kaip mes linksmai leidom laiką ir panašiai, prisimenu, ką aš jį padariau, ir jinai paliko ten mane vis tiek, to grinai čia sakys, ir kaip ten ją influencino, čia, blečiu, negerai.
But watch, this is where God is even funnier. Here goes like Louis C.K. part 2 level, because Louis C.K. is the funniest man alive. Uncancel him now, right? So and he was funnier before he's canceled, because all he would do is type of jokes that you'd get canceled on, right? So, I got an office and, outside of Crenshaw, like in an opportunity zone. And this office, 57,000 square foot office, is the one that Tucker Carlson came to visit me at. And I look out the window, and whose office is being built? A brand new one. The Skims office.
What's the Skims
it's like,
office?
Who's writing this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, God is funny. So that's the thing. We always got to be like, we got to be funny. We got to have a sense of humor. Like,
But yeah, let me ask you.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Skims office, actually, įmonė Skims, clothing company Skims, American shapewear and clothing brand, co-founded by Kim Kardashian. Oh. Oh, fuck.
Are you sad that you're getting divorced? Are you sad the relationship came to an end?
Buvo šitam pokalbį jau nebėra išsigelbėjimo jiems. Jeigu nukrypsi asmeninius.
That happened 2 years. We got the divorce 2 years.
Yeah.
Yo, we're
Are you actually?
We've been got divorced. What are you talking?
Yeah, I mean, let me rephrase that. Are you sad that you're no longer together, that you're divorced?
Kodėl tu tos klausimus klausi?
We'll always be together. She dresses exactly like me. What do you mean? Like my kids are me. You know,
Nežinau, man čia labai nepatinka, ką Pirsas daro. Jo, bet jis negali neatsakyti, nes jis bipolar, blėt. Čia tame problema yra. Ir Pirsas tą žino, ir jis žino, kad Kanye nepasakys, tiesiog aš neatsakysiu. Ir Pirsas grinai paukina žmogų, kuris, vat, nu, aš nežinau, kokioje šia būsnė yra, bet, nu, nėra pats stabiliausias žmogus, lesbionės. Ir jisai kapsto, net ne, kad kapsto, nu, emocijas mėgina sukelti apie asmeninius dalykus ir man atrodo, jam veikia. Aš nežinau, man nepatinka, Pirsas čia daro.
There's no person that she'll ever get with that will influence her more than God and then her priest on...
Nu, tipo, kokiam scenariui tai būtų teisinga, va tame esmė. Įsivaizduok grinai, pasikvieti kažką į interviu, kas neseniai išsiskyrė su draugė. Nu, pradė klausinėti, nu tai dėl ko išsiskyrė, žinai, nu tai kaip, ar gailies, kad išsiskyrėt, ar blogai jauties, kad išsiskyrėt, ar kad nebesat kartu. Tuoj paklaus, kaip jauties, kad dabar kito bybį čiulpė. Nu, tipo, grinai, nu what the fuck, sen, ką tu darai? Čia Pirsas Morganas man labai nepatinka, nežinau. Man dar patinka, jis sutrikęs, depresuotas, nemegojęs, išsekęs žmogus, kuris nebesupranta, ką kalba. Aš nemanau, kad tai yra intencija, nes Pirsas šiaip gan, nu, good faith buvo šitam pokalbį, manyčiau. Gal porai vietų biškai ne visai, tipo, nu, taktiškai, bet iki to tikrai. Bet dabar, ką klausinėjo apie asmeninius santykius, taip jau bando grinai, man šitas tai jau nepatinka. Čia jau, nežinau, kodėl jis taip daro, gal klikų tiesiog nori. Pamatyti Kanye ten deranged apie Kim, nemanau, kad čia konspiracija kažkokia, žinai, kai jisai nori jį pavaizduoti kaip deranged žmogų, visiškai ten, vat, kaip tu parašai, bet gal, ką tu gali žinoti, gal, I don't know.
Earth, which is me. You know, whether it's the Skims clothing line, the designers, the architects, all those people. You got the Clintons, the left, utilizing what we built together to try to use her as an influence for the black culture and the word culture in general for the next elections. They need those 300 million followers from Kylie and Kim on their side going into their election as they push trauma culture to the black people again, as they claim any of my questions of business dealings to be anti-Semitic comments, and push, you know, Kim to, you know, as a billionaire mother of a lawyer and a mother of 4 Jew black children, to do covers like Interview. And that's what happens when they take the dads out the home. And that's what they've been doing in the hood. They take the fathers and the leaders out of the homes. And if we keep on allowing this to happen...
Tai pointas toks, jeigu teisingai supratau, nu, kaip jis atsakė. Kadangi, kai jie išsiskyrė ir neliko to vyro namie, Kim dabar tapo manipuliuojama, ją manipuliuoja visi, prarado vos nevertybės, pradėjo ten staipytis pusnogę cover magazine kažkokiam, kur kalbėjo ir tipo viskas, žlugo. Čia tipo toks pointas, Kanye West, I guess.
And we don't have some level of a decency clause inside of our media on what everyone sees. Like when I was young...
Parašai. Galėtų amerikonai savo kultūrą ir pasaulio matymą pasilik savo ir nekiš kitiems, o mes galėtume atsiriboti nuo jos. Jie turi labai gerų daug idėjų. Labai daug gerų turi idėjų. Sprendimo būdus, jie visai neblogų ir sprendimo būdų turi. Kultūra jų mums yra daug labiau priimtina ir kaip ir praškai didžiai pasaulio dalį negu, tarkim, alternatyva, kas būtų ten Rusija ir Kinija, žinai. Tai nereikia taip sakyti, kad mums reikia atsiriboti nuo Amerikos ir Amerikos kultūra. Yra ir blogų dalykų, bet yra ir labai daug gerų dalykų, kur mes visi ir naudojam ir viską. Kai kurios idėjos, netgi tos labai jau leftistinės idėjos, jos nėra blogos idėjos. Kad žmonės lygesni būtų, kad visos tos yra geros idėjos. Įgyvendinimas tų idėjų, va čia yra nesutarimo objektas. Nes, kaip pavyzdžiui, čia Lietuvoje pasiūlo Laisvės partija priimti statymą apie tą sutikimo formas tas, kad maždaug netgi vyras ten norintis miegoti su savo žmona turėtų ten vos ne formą rastišką sutikimą gauti. čia vėlgi, čia tas įgyvendinimas, kad visi dabar iš jų juokiasi ir sako, jūs daunai. Čia tas tai yra įgyvendinimas. Bet pati idėja ir apšvietimas problemos nėra blogas. Nes iš tikro labai daug tokios prievartos prieš moteris šeimose yra Lietuvoje. Ir visam pasaulyje yra, bet ir Lietuvoje yra nemažai. Tai problemą kažkaip reikėtų adresuoti, kad jo, žmona gali pasakyti ne sekso ir panašiai, ir kad vyras neturėtų tiesiog jaustis, kad ne, tu mano žmona ir tu privalai taip darytis. Nes taip kai kurie galvoja. Tai problemos paviešinimas, kuris atėjo iš Amerikos, visas tas nėra blogai. Bet tas sprendimo būdas, va čia yra problema. Tai tas pasakymas, kad mums nereikia jokių kultūros dalių iš Amerikos ar jokių nieko, gali nekišti ant kitiems. Jos, pirma, tas kišimas, visi klausosi, tai visi klausysis, ką jie bedarytų. Bet jo, nereikia taip atsiriboti, nes man atrodo, jie labai neblogų idėjų turi. Ir kai kurios labai geros, bet kai kurios yra labai tūpos ir labai netgi tie sprendimai yra tragiški. Labai kritiškai vertinti, ką jis siunčia, true. Aš viską vertinti reikia kritiškai. Yep. Aš tam tai pritariu visiškai. Nes tikrai kai kurios smarkiai per toli nukeliauja ir aš kai kuriam tikrai nepritariu. Ir tas žmonių cancelinimas iš visų tenais, kad negalėtų rašyti žinučių ten ir panašiai, tų Twitterių, Facebookų. Jo, aš visiškai tam visiems tiem dalykam nepritariu. Tai tam pritariu. Tikrai reikia kritiškai vertinti, o ne tiesiog jo kaip kartais jausmas susidaro Laisvės partija, bet kaip daro. Ačiū, amerikietiška vertybė, davai priimam, net negalvoja, net nežinom, kokį įstatymą, kaip konkrečiai parašyta priimti, davai priimam. Va jo, čia fucking retarded. No, nedarom taip.
And I would go to the video store. If I wanted to go into the adult section, it was a curtain. It was a person sitting there watching, making sure that kids didn't go in. If the kids went into that section, there was a video camera. And they would have, you would be escorted out of that section. Now that section is forced through TikTok. That section is subverted and kind of mixed with the drink inside of music directed at children, inside of content through Disney.
Kažkas irgi pasakė, čia toks stilius, čia specialiai taip, aš nežinau, jūs kalbate apie tas dėmesius, jo tipo. Nes kažkas pradžioje pasakė, what the fuck jis kaip bromžas atrodo, bet man atrodo, čia actually stilius, kaip žinai, būna suplėšti džinsai ten kažkada, tai gal čia dabar nauja mada jis tokia, kur ne, I don't know.
On Hulu, which is Disney also, and in so many branded commercials to confuse children.
Bet prasme, it doesn't look bad, nes derinas ir prie jo kepurės, kur irgi, balta turi baltus užrašus tipo. Ir tada tie balti kaip akcentas, tai gal jisai čia ir bando to, kad tipo... I don't know, I have no idea, it's Kanye West. Jis gali rengtis kaip fucking nori, gerai?
Our children way too early.
Ir po poros mėnesių visi taip rengsi, žinai.
Look, you make some very interesting points again. Just to clarify one thing, though, you are actually divorced, are you? Because my understanding was that you weren't actually divorced yet.
Oof.
You know, I ask God the same question some mornings. Am I divorced, God? Am I divorced? Because I might be divorced on paper, but I'm not divorced of the idea of being the protector of not only this person
he is divorced,
who is so influential. Imagine Kim.
Translation. I am divorced, but aš mentally negaliu paleisto ir mentally aš nesu divorced. Translation.
Making all of her decisions that she does publicly. You know, grown folks' business is grown folks' business. Never know what could happen with a little sippy or whatever. But, you know, all the decisions that she makes publicly being based on an audience of one. And Piers, what audience do you think I'm saying that is?
Well, you.
No, not me. For us as Christians, right? Who is our audience? We have an audience of one.
Well, you mean God?
God. So picture this world, envision this world. Here's another one. This is past what I'm saying about having the heads of the football teams and the basketball teams and the music industry opening up their contracts the way I do, right? Picture the most influential woman on the planet, which is Kim Kardashian, right? And I got this one thing I want to definitely say in the interview. Picture the most influential person on the planet, the most influential woman on the planet, performing in public only for that audience of one, for God. Imagine the overwhelming
Kaip norėčiau, kad religija neegzistuotų jo gyvenime, ble.
And mark these words. It will happen someday.
Okay.
And I had this thing. I had this, like, you know, of course I'm divorced, and this is like a funny thing I thought. Being that her name is no longer West, and my name is no longer Ye, if there was ever, being that her name is no longer West, and my name is now only Ye, if we were ever to be together again, what would our name be? Kim Ye.
Would you like that?
Oh, come on.
Everything is up to God. And God has proven to me many times that it's not about what I want
Man yra
or what I
liūdna
would
tiesiog
like.
klausytis, nachui.
It's just up to Him on what He sees.
Religija yra
You know,
coping
David had
mechanizmas.
to-
But let me ask you,
tend
I
to
mean,
the
yeah, but
sheep.
do you still love
To the
Kim?
sheep, sorry, not with an S.
Do you still love Kim?
I absolutely love. I'll love her for life. And I will protect. Oddly enough, I'll actually protect her, because when I call out things that I feel are wrong, you know what I'm saying? When I make products, like, say the difference between me and Bernard Arnault, like, say, watch, Elon Musk, every product, the reason why Elon Musk is like a Steve Jobs is, if he makes a flamethrower, he would use that flamethrower. If he makes a Cybertruck, he would use that Cybertruck. Me, if I make some 3D printed boots, you know, I'm going to have the 3D printed boots on.
Wow,
And
I love
wear them
those.
every day.
Can I get a pair of
If
those?
Gerai, I guess mes negalim kritikuoti dabar jo išvaizdos, kai jis atrodo, viskas aišku. Čia yra viskas stiliaus dalis, čia nieko atsitiktinio nėra. Gerai, supratau.
Absolutely, sir.
were
Tucker
really
liked them
soothing.
also. These boots are a hit.
Love those.
Yes.
They look fantastic.
Išvėjimas grįžo.
Would you like to
Gal,
one day...
čia stiliaus
Do you
dalis
think,
viskas.
given that you've got all these kids together, would you like one day to get back with Kim, do you think? Do you feel like you've gone through a very tumultuous period, but that actually the love underneath it all between two people remains? And would you like to...
Kai tu esi toks turtingas, tu gali rengtis kaip nori. Gerai, tu gali kaip nori rengtis. Čia aš visiškai tam pritariu. Pohui, tau yra... You got pohui money. Tau taip... Kas tau ką papasakos? Įžeis tave dėl išvaizdos ar dėl tavo stiliaus, nusivarysiu ašarą savo milijonais. Grinai čia, tipo. Tai yeah, go off. Amazing, blet.
to get back together?
Oi, blet. Va, Jesus, YouTube'as.
Those thirst traps still be fire.
Pala,
Is that
Do
a
you
yes?
understand what I said?
pala.
But that actually the love underneath it all between two people remains. And would you like to get back together?
Those thirst traps still be fire.
Is that
Do
a
you
yes?
understand what I said? Do you understand that language
I
right
think so.
there?
I think
That
so.
language?
You better explain it to me.
What do you think those thirst traps still be fire means? Can you explain that to me?
Well, with my rather
Explain
creative British
what
mind,
those thirst traps still be fire.
I would imagine it
With your
means that you...
creative, brilliant British man.
I would imagine it means you still fancy your ex-wife. Is that right?
You know, I would prefer to not be put on this. I would prefer to not be put on the spot.
Jo, iš tikro, ką tai apie Bideną sako, kai Bideną kartais sunkiau suprasti negu Kanye Westą. True, blet. Kai turi pinigų, pohui, kokie rūbai, kai nėra babkių, perk filminius rūbus, kad atrodytum turtingas. True, labas netyčia. Išskyrus aš turiu du bliuzonus ir juos nešioju visą gyvenimą, blet, gerai.
Kind of questions. What I could say is, God is alive, and He places people. He placed David in
Who's David?
to tend to. God had David tend to the sheep,
Ai.
knowing that one day He would prepare him to fight Goliath.
David ir Goliath.
So I believe that day of me fighting Goliath has been this past 2 weeks. The media is Goliath. And there would be no chance of having a civil civilization or a civil democracy in America without me challenging the media 2 years out from the election.
Man patinka mano dublių zona, kur aš turiu, man nereikia ačiū.
May be setting myself up to one day be able to be president. Or...
What the fuck? Look at this shit. Jisai turi kapišoną, kai pradeda lyti, turi kažkokį vieną random logotipą, spalva tinka prie visko. Fucking like my blue zonas. Turiu kitą su K raide, irgi turi kapišoną. Viskas, ko reikia, gerai.
Or it's maybe for the other president, but regardless, we have to have some decency in America as the thought leaders in the content that we put out.
But you
and
okay, but on that point,
Yeah.
you keep talking about the media as if somehow it's the media that's created all this furore in the last 2 weeks. But you have said other things which, in my opinion, the media couldn't ignore. You know, you suggested in your interview with Tucker Carlson that Gap, for example, the clothing wear company, had prior knowledge of the Uvalde shooting, which is obviously completely insane. Oof. Why would you say that? And then why would you be surprised if the media then react to it? They're bound to.
Jis taip pasakė, oh man. Wrong thing
what
to
I'm
say.
saying is that was worded.
Retarded.
That might have been worded in a way that the media could take in the wrong way. But I thought it was really interesting the amount of people at Gap.
Okay, what's that?
We had a release that was happening, and the amount of people at Gap that were rallying around this as a media moment. If they didn't know about that, where there's theories, you can't say that the theories about 9/11 are completely insane.
Actually,
that's just the person I am. I'm that kind of person.
Well, look.
Original tweetas koks buvo. I felt like the people at the Gap knew about the school shooting that Matthew McConaughey was talking about before it even happened. Ai, čia, tipo, kad ten... Ai, kad tipo, toks jausmas buvo, jis nesakė, kad būtent taip, bet kad sutapo tam tikri dalykai ir jis galvoja, am I in a Truman Show, kad viskas taip in sync atrodo. Ble, čia vat ir yra tas jo taškų sujunginėjimas, sutapimų pamatymas ir tų sutapimų sujungimas į kažkokią gal konspiraciją. Čia grinas konspiratorinis mąstymas.
You're perfectly entitled to have theories. I think most of them are completely insane. But on this specific one, okay, on Uvalde, you even suggested that Matthew McConaughey may have. It was all a bit weird that he was speaking so early about it when, in fact, he came from Uvalde and spoke very passionately after this atrocity. So I think people read these comments and like, what are you talking about?
No, okay, so I'm not... What I'm saying is I definitely feel there was a major media push around that to create trauma and fear culture. Because the amount of people...
Dievo dovana Kanye Westas yra visų fashion. Nes neįmanoma rengtis, tipo, blogiau negu jis taip padaro, tipo, kad neįmanoma būtų rengtis blogiau. Nes viską, ką tu gali dabar užsidėti, 3D printed batus arba botus, nešvarių bluzonų ir sakytų, kad Kanye West stiliaus nesik ir viskas.
And this is not to be in any way, I care about people who have passed away and have lost loved ones.
20 kids were shot dead in a classroom.
Okay.
20 children were shot dead at school.
So let me explain.
No one in the media is putting
any
sort of trauma into that. That is the trauma.
Okay, Piers, how often does that happen in my hometown?
Well, the 20 kids are killed in school in one mass shooting. As far as I'm aware, it's never happened in your hometown, has it?
Yeah, it does. at least
not in
14
one mass
kids
shooting.
are killed in Chicago.
Abortų
I
klinikose.
didn't finish.
Okay.
Let's not do this
Ar iš
again.
abortų šnekės?
We reviewed
I
how
understand.
that goes.
You could talk.
At least 14 kids are killed in Chicago every week.
In
And there's
abortion
no
clinics.
media push around it. And that's
Ar
my
ne?
issue. When I was at Gap, there was no media push
Ne, aš tiesiog kalba ne apie
the
abortus, ar
killings
nes jis ir apie tai
in
norės
Chicago.
šnekėti, man
But I would
And let me
agree. So
explain
look, yeah,
something.
I agree with you. I completely agree. My youngest son has recently been at University of Chicago for a year, and there were 2 students shot in that time.
Ai, ne,
I
čia tiesiog
completely
Chicago.
agree that there is
Ai,
never enough
kalba
attention
tiesiog, jo,
given
okay.
to all the slaughter from gun violence in Chicago. Completely agree with you. What I can't agree with is any suggestion by you that anyone at Gap or Matthew McConaughey or anybody else had any prior knowledge of what happened at Uvalde. Of course they didn't.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying they did, but with the amount of attention that went...
Ir aš turiu tą pasakyti, šitą technologiją, kur automatiškus captionus daro, jo, jinai Davalde parašė vietoj Uvalde, problemų padaro, bet iš tikrųjų yra žiauriai tiksliai, holy fuck. Dialektus atskiria realiai, tarmės, labai, actually, geras dalykas, išvystė tą technologiją normaliai.
I was jealous, once again. You feel me? I'm jealous that so much attention...
Sakai, paumėjęs. Aš pirmą kartą turbūt gyvenime klausiaus ilgą formos kontentą jo, tai net sunku pasakyti.
Say that.
Gal
Say
visą
that.
laiką toks buvo.
That's what you should say.
I'm not
Again,
finished.
Yeah, but it comes down...
Aš neišgirdau
Feel
pusę.
me? I'm jealous that so much attention went
Ai, okay.
in this direction, but doesn't go into the direction of Chicago when
Then
the
say
same
that.
thing
Say
and the
that,
same
yeah.
amount of people...
That's what you should say.
I'm not
Again,
finished.
Yeah, but
And
it comes down to the way
I'm
you
saying
phrase
it,
these
bro.
things.
Bro, hey, I just said it.
Yes.
Like I just said, you're not always going to say the things the right way, but at least I have the bravery to open the conversation. Your first sentence isn't your last sentence. My first rap that I told wasn't my last rap that I told. And now that's the whole point. It's said. Once it's...
Toks žmogus kaip Kanye Westas, su tokiu mąstymu, nu, ir ta kūrybiška siela, kur sujunginėja taškus, nu, jis legendinis muzikantas ir nieks nepasakys priešingai. Jam tikrai turėtų būti sunku gyventi pasaulyje, kur vienas dalykas, kurį tu patweetini, tu esi už jį nukryžiuojamas maždaug. Ir nieks net neklaus, ką tu turėjo omeny. Tai jam tikrai sunku, nes tokiam pasauliu jis ir gyvena. Žiūrėkit, kaip jis dėsto mintis, kaip jis atsakinėja į klausimus. Jis eina per aplinkui, jis eina į šonus, labai komplikuotai per 100 pavyzdžių jis kažkaip, bet techniškai atsako į klausimus. Ir mes sekam, ką jis sako, nu, tipo, gal su paaiškinimais viską, bet, tipo, sekam. Ir tas jo toks suvokimas, kad, va, čia yra teisingai, kad, nu, va, aš pasakiau tą, pradėjau diskusiją ir aš gal nemokėjau 100% ir neteisingai parašiau ir gal klydau, whatever, bet aš augu ir aš toliau išaugsiu ir ką aš turiu menį pakeisiu ir kitaip parašysiu. Ir jis nori, kad tai būtų, ir aš noriu, kad tai būtų. Kad žmonės gerai, tu parašai šį čia, neįsižeisti, reikalauti atsiprašymų iš karto ir jį vadinti ten blogiausiu žmogų pasauliu, bet gerai, ką čia parašai, kodėl tai parašai. Ir tada pasiaiškinti, kodėl taip mąsto, gal pakoreguoti, biškai gal pamokyti, edukuoti. Ir jis tada nerašys taip, jis biškai gal bus pakoreguotas, bet kai matos tik puolimas ir matos tik noras atsiprašyk, išnyk iš interneto, tai ar išsprendė tų problemą? Ir va čia yra didžiausia leftistų problema su ta baninimų kultūra. Tu problemos nedresuoji, tiesiog pasijauti geriau, kad apklikai kažką ir pasakai jam užsičiaup. Bet problema toliau yra. Ir žmogus tas, kuris taip sakė, liko nei edukuotas, nei tu jį supranti, kodėl jis taip pasakė. Ir nėra dialogo. Ir va tas jo, tai... Ir Kanye Westui turėtų būti sunku gyventi. Tokiam va pasauliu. Tikrai turėtų būti sunku. Nes jį... Jo, nu, neduoda klyst, I guess. Nu, ne.
Said, except that it was said, I am the iPhone 20, right? I'm growing, I'm a hybrid, I'm updating.
Okay.
I'm constantly updating, and that's what we're supposed to do. You can't drag me back because that's...
Nu, tipo, jo, yra labai prikolinu su Bidenu ten klipu, kur, nu, jis nerišlus yra, bet kai ten kalbas kažkokią sako ir kažką ten press release'us daro, jis pretty artikulai, tipo, nu, jis gan aiškiai kalba, tikrai daug aiškiau negu Kanye Westas čia. Čia Kanye West'u reikia narpliuoti labai smarkiai. Bidenu dažniausiai nereikia, nebent ten vienas iš tų klipų, kur ten Jesus fucking Christ. Nu, bet, blet, ko norėt, kai ten 150 metų žmogų išrinki, what the fuck?
You enjoy that, right? When you bring it up, I'm saying, hey, this is what I'm saying. I felt, you know, this. Think about this. Have you ever heard the term premeditated murder?
Yes.
I feel like the George Floyd was a premeditated murder. That's my feeling based off of, and we never got to that in the beginning, but that's my feeling based off of the information I saw in the documentary.
I think it was a premeditated murder in the sense that this, I agree, but not for the reason you think. I think it was premeditated in the sense that that policeman didn't give a damn about George Floyd's life, stuck his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and killed him. So but I know we don't agree about that. I don't want to go back over that. I want to ask you, about something different.
I think the policeman was involved with it too, but not in the way that you think about it.
Right.
I think he was involved in a different way.
I think we'll have to...
I think he was also part... I think he was also part of the setup.
Okay. Look, we're not going to agree about that, but
He's been moved, and I need you to watch the documentary, and we could talk offline and then talk online again.
Okay.
Because what's not fair is for a white martyr like JFK to be analyzed 100 different ways, but then for a black martyr like George Floyd, for us to only accept the one way. That's like us only accepting the one way for the black vote.
Like I said to you,
we have the opportunity to look at it different ways.
Like I said to you, you are completely entitled to challenge anything, frankly. And I'm equally entitled to come back at you and say what I think. That's what a democracy is about. Let me ask you before I want to ask you one thing about your...
But look, no, I got...
Okay. I don't want to keep going back to that.
Yeah, čia nežinau, ar susišnekės. Problema, kad Kanye Westas, nu, tipo, kaip jaučiasi, kad vat, būtent, kai jis ir negali kvestionuotų dalykų. Ir, tipo, neproporcingai yra, kiek, nu, vieniems skiriama dėmesio kvestionavimui, kiek kitiem mažai. Čia Kanye Westas čia problema, tipo, yra, nu, jis čia mato problemą.
The disparagement right there.
Yeah.
But look at the disparagement, because I still had an idea. I don't like the word point. I had an idea that you didn't embrace right there. The martyr, JFK, we analyzed his death 100 different ways, right?
Bet jo, va šičia yra tas nelogiškas dalykas, kur jau sakiau. Nuo ko JFK mirė, viskas aišku, aplinkybės kitas analizuoja. Nuo ko George'as Floydas mirė, kaip irgi aišku, ištyrė, pasakė. Bet tu dabar analizuoji, ar tikrai nuo to mirė. Tai čia nėra tas pats dalykas, ką tu lygini, bet...
He died that way, and then it's white people telling super brilliant, successful black people, you have the right, it's literally like on some Black Lives Matter, like your life matters, like, oh, your idea matters, but then shut up and we're not going to go back to it. No, we're going to unfold it. I need you to watch that documentary, and I want us to talk line by line. I want to do, because look, I think that we're a good conversation. And
Blet, aš nemačiau tos dokumentarį, bet įdomu tada. Bet įdomu, Piersas Morganas, įdomu, blet, būtų. Gerai, davai, žiūrėkit tą dokumentiką kartu ir mėginkit eit line by line. Nes taip, kaip aš suprasčiau, ten būtų, jau gal dabar yra debunkintų dalykų, nes Candace Owen dokumentika, in biškai kartais išprotėjus, kiek aš mačiau, gali būti. Ir ten irgi tokia konspiratorika. Tai aš kaip manyčiau, einant pro tą dokumentiką, mes ir rastume visai nelogiškų dalykų, visai blogų dalykų, nu, tai yra ne blogų dalykų, neteisingų dalykų, netikslių dalykų, šališkų gal dalykų. Ir vat man įdomu, jeigu tokiam žmogui kaip Kanye Westas, kur dabar, kaip suprantu, tai yra vienintelis dalykas, ką jis pamatė. Ir niekas su juo nekalba iš kitos pusės. Niekas jam nepaaiškina. Ir jis turi vienintelį dalyką. Jis vaizduoja, kaip kad dokumentika kokia ar kažką pažiūrėti apie kažką. Ir atrodo, blet, viskas labai makes sense, rimtai. 9/11 was an inside job. Arba tenais Mėnulį tikrai nenusileidom. Viskas labai atrodo logiška, kaip jie pateikė. Blet. Bet tada ateina kažkas gerai, žiūrėk. Čia yra netiksliai, parodo šaltinį. Čia yra melas, parodo, čia paaiškina, kodėl nelogiška. Ir taip, ir tada tu galvoji, okei, Nu, blet, aš buvau įsitikinęs, bet dabar gal nesu įsitikinęs 100%. Nes sukūrė balansą tavo pasauliui. Kai tu girdi tik vieną dalyką, nebėra balanso. Tu, jo, ar patikėsi, that makes sense, bet tada, kai kažkas pasako, paaiškina dalykus, atsiranda biškį arčiau to centro balanso. Kad, reiškia, nėra vien čia teisybė, ką man pasakė. Yra, reiškia, galbūt va čia ir klysta ir tada galbūt pradedi kvestionuoti. Pas Kanye Westą nėra balanso. Nes kaip suprantu, nėra kas su juo šnekėtų, nes leftistai ant jo klykia, atsiprašyk rėkauja. Todėl yra labai svarbu šnekėtis, ir įdomu būtų. Padarykit atskirą laidą. Piers Morgan su Kanye Westu žiūri tą dokumentiką ir dar ten porą kokių žmonių pasiema, tegu mėgina ieškoti spragų tiesiog ir toje dokumentikoje tada.
And now within the next 2 years, we need to talk a lot of times, right?
I would love to do that.
This kind of thing.
Honestly,
we should unpack.
Listen, let me say to you, I've wanted to interview you for years.
Yeah.
I genuinely mean it when I say I think you're one of the most brilliant, talented people that I've seen in the public sphere. And you have a lot of fascinating ideas, and you're incredibly creative, and you're completely entitled to your views. But I'm entitled to mine, and I think we've had some really interesting exchanges, actually. I want to just talk to you quickly before we finish about your kids and about you as a father. What kind of kids do you want them to be? What kind of values do you want to instill in your children?
Kids. Black kids. Black Jew kids, kaip jis ten sakė.
I want my kids to finish their education. I know that my album was called The College Dropout, but when I look at the way, just like you said, your kids are in the University of Chicago, we need the education. That's another thing to be jealous about. The Muslims have the Quran, right? And Jewish people also have their holy books, but they have the education. And once we have the education, and we have the strong black minds, we need to pull them together. There hasn't been end-to-end black-owned communities since Black Wall Street or since the gentrification of Harlem. Like I have this tech company called STEM, right, that had the most successful launch in tech history with 80,000 STEM players as far as a first launch, right? We sold 80,000 STEM players back in February, and we went off the Apple platform, and now we're coming with the next generation that has a projector in it, and it's coming with 4,096 movies. I did that because my Amiga computer had 4,096 colors when I was in 7th grade. And also you can download films without having to use an Apple product. So I called this guy, and we're working on finishing up elements of the deal. And he's using emotional bullying, and like his shoulders are down, you could tell on the call. And he says, well, because of your comments, we're not going to be able to hire people. It's the people that we need. And I said, well, how many people do we have working for us? He said 60, and we have 40 part-time. I said, well, how many Jewish people do we have? He said, well, I don't know. We have some. And I said, well, do we have black people working for us? He said, yeah. I said, how many? He said, 2. And I said, you're telling me we can't find 60 black engineers? Well, yeah. And see, that's where that comment that got me into so much trouble forced me to look at myself as the richest black man since Mansa Musa, right, with multiple tech companies. And where am I kicking the tires inside of my own company to ensure that I'm hiring my people? Because Chinese people hire Chinese people, and Jewish people hire Jewish people.
Čia Kanye West dalykas, kad rasizmas yra gerai, kai aš tą darau.
Bernard Arnault. We'll give our company
ne kai aš tą darau, jam rasizmas yra gerai, tol kol tai benefitina jo rasę, kuri buvo opresinta tiek daug laiko. Fine, tu turėk tokią poziciją, čia jo tokia pozicija yra. Yeah, okay.
Mark Zuckerberg. We'll give our company away. And it would almost come off as anti-Semitic if I hadn't crossed that gun line so far to say, hey, I have to go and ensure that I'm hiring the brightest black minds to my black-owned tech company. Kamala is our never again. We're never going to just hand something over just because we like the way this person looks. And we have the emotional connection because she was a Delta and my mom was a Delta. She got 96% of the black female vote. You would have thought Drake was running. And we haven't seen her really honestly since. And I want to say something about the left. The left, you guys got to sit with me. Your current administration that these guys put up, they shit the pot on this one. They should have got Bernie, but Bernie had too much of a conscience.
True.
So you got a guy with no conscience.
Should have got
Instead
Bernie.
Of getting Bernie Sanders, you guys got Weekend at Bernie's, and and you know that you don't like where we're at right now. So we got to have a conversation.
Bernie Sanders.
When you listen,
how to
I won't disagree with you about. I don't disagree with you about President Biden.
Or
Kamala Harris, for that matter. Let me ask you about someone we haven't mentioned, Vladimir Putin, and what he's been doing in Ukraine. What is your view of that?
I do not believe in war, and I believe that there is ways that America could have avoided this war. But Biden has money. Biden has reasons for us to be at war right now.
Amerika sukėlė karą, supratau.
And
Bidenas ir Amerika sukėlė karą.
Without giving you too much information, I would like to speak with my political advisors to give you the exact information. I'm not going to, hey, watch this one, Piers. I'm not going to shoot from the hip on this one, especially talking about war and things as sensitive as Ukraine and the Russian war. No, we already got that the RETARD comment earlier that maybe we could work on that I feel like is going to be massively offensive, and I really do. Now that one, I do apologize to people that I offended earlier in the interview on that comment. Maybe we could look at scrubbing that if we deem.
Well, actually,
like to.
I would say this: it's an uncensored interview. You said something which you've now wished you hadn't said. And you've apologized. I actually think that says a lot about you. Right? That shows you've got that ability to be self-aware, to understand when you cross a line. I think someone like you, with all your energy and creativity and your passion, you're going to say stuff. The way that you talk constantly and in such an extraordinary manner, you're going to trip up. You're going to say things the wrong way. I don't think there's anything wrong in when you do that, doing what you just did and saying, look, I'm sorry, I crossed a line, I apologize. It's actually quite empowering.
You know what I think? You know what I think I'll go ahead and do? I feel that I've given the platform, and I think by holding the idea of an apology hostage is not godlike.
Correct.
I feel like we have to free. Yeah, and I think that's the point that you've been making. And because we sat down and had this conversation,
Čia, man atrodo, ir Piersas ir aš sutinku, nes čia va ir
dėjo.
Nes va čia yra, ką aš sakiau, jis mielai atsiprašytų, bet kai leftistai tiek reikalauja to, jis nenori jiems pataikauti, jis nori juos pasiūs nahui. Bet aišku, jeigu jo paklausti nenori ten, kad žmonės įsižeistų, kurie nuoširdžiai įsižeidžia ir panašiai. Ir čia yra tas momentas. Ir visi čia pritarė, tipo, kad jo, fuck the left, tos grynus ir išprotėjusius, tipo.
DEFCON, the confusion that I call. I feel like I cause hurt and confusion. And I'm sorry for the families of the people that had nothing to do with the trauma that I had been through, and that I use my platform where you say hurt people. And I was hurt. I was frustrated. I was frustrated that Gap hadn't opened stores. I was frustrated that I spent time with a gentleman who I love him, his wife, his kids, David Simon, and to open stores. And then he called Bob Martin at Gap and said, I'm not going to open the stores. And I've just been frustrated. I just want to open my widow stores. And I want to say that it's wrong to hold an apology hostage. And I got to let go of that and free myself of the trauma and say, look, I'm just going to give it all up to God right now and say to those families that I hurt, I really want to give you guys a big hug. And I want to, I say, I'm sorry for hurting you with my comments. And I want to word it in not in like a political way, but in a presidential way, which means what I knew a president to be when I was growing up, in a sincere way. You know how people give those kind of I want to give an apology. And you're like, but did you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Pala sekundėlę.
no, it has to be.
Kaip alertas nesuveikė, supratau. Papa Whisky, labai dėkui už poros mėnesių resubą, nežinau, kodėl nesuveikęs kaip alertas, toj pabaigsiu. Frogas, nauji subai, giftinti subai iki 6 mėnesių, tai yra nauji subai, kitus alertus turi, vis laik tai buvo. Baigiam tą video žiūrėti, čia mažai liko.
To every person's grandmother and grandfather and every person's son and daughter, aunt and uncle, and give them a hug and say, you know what? I've been hurt, and I do want you to talk to your boys. I do want you to talk to the people that are in power, the people who do own the black voice, the people who do own the black vote, which a lot of Jewish business people do. And I want to be able to sit at the table with the contracts. I want my people to sit at the table with the contracts. I do want all of this, but I'm not going to hold my apology hostage till I get that. I'm going to start by taking accountability for my actions and the lack of sophistication in my wording. Like I said, I was sleepy, and it was taken in a way that I didn't mean to be taken. It definitely caused some attention. But I don't want the conversation to go away just because I came to you guys and said, you know, I understand how I hurt you, and I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused and the confusion that I caused. Now, that is said, right? But I don't want the conversation to go away that we are still in a place where these contracts are still up. My people are still getting screwed. This has to be opened up. And I'm not asking for a promise, but it would be a beautiful world as I release the pain that I've caused and the pain that I have in me, that grudge that I was holding, that you guys, some of you guys, 1, 2 of you guys step up and say, let's look at these contracts. Let's make it not be a known fact that the music industry is treacherous. Let's make because some of my kids do music. You know, I don't want them to step into a treacherous place. I want it to be better for them than it was for me. So I want us to sit down and come together and really work on that. Would that make sense to you, Piers?
You know what, Ye? If you'd simply said that in your tweet, I don't think there would have been any problem. And I'm very, very pleased, actually, that we've got to a place where you felt able to say that. And I think it was sincere. And
but we still have a problem. That's my point.
No, I get it. I get it. But what you've now done, you've now explained the context of the problem. And you also issued a sincere apology to people who were rightly offended by the way you phrased what you said. So I think that's a good place to finish the interview. And I'm very glad you got there.
Okay, but it's not finished.
I understand.
The idea is not finished.
I understand.
That there's still a problem.
It's okay, Kanye. It's okay.
No one's going to be in any doubt there's a problem.
Yes,
and by the way,
it's okay,
I'm sure
Kanye.
there is. I'm sure that a lot of the contracts in the music business are rigged against people like artists like yourself. I'm sure of it. I mean, it's always been the case. From Elvis onwards. So I get
Piers,
it.
Would you help me and my people? Would you help me and my athletes? I got so many athletes that go to my school that are like all the guys that are on Donda are headed to the NBA, right? Could you help me? Could you help us make these contracts better for our people by calling attention, by just allowing me on your platform, right? And let's look at some of the things and point these things out. Could we work together on that?
Absolutely happy to do that. Very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Very happy to do that. I think we should talk more often.
All right.
It's taken a long time to get here. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It's been 2 hours.
Tipo, ir look at this, tipo, aš pirmą kartą klausiausi. Kaip Kanye Westas transliuojamas dabar yra medijų, iš esmės. Nu, kaip deranged psichopatas, iš esmės. Yra deranged psichopatas. Jo, jis ekstracentriškas, biškai egoistiškas, gal biškai. Tam tikrose temose jis tragiškai klysta. Kai kurios net nelogiškas. Nu, tipo, galima tiek daug visko pasakyti. Bet aš žinau, kai jis demonas, ar jis blogas labai žmogus, man atrodo, jis gan geras žmogus, bent jau kiek čia žiūriu, jis gali būti misinformuotas, bet galima pakeisti jo nuomonę, galima kalbėti su jom, nes jis kalba, kad ir, nu, kiek galima ten, kiek jam gaunas ir panašiai. Bet tipo, jo, tas just a fucking person, kuris yra gal ignorant, gal nežino informacijos ir būtų įdomu dar apie karą paklausyti, gal jis kartotų tą patį, ką dabar jam kartoja tie patys konspiratorikai, kuriam siunčia idėjas apie konspiracijos kitas teorijas. Bet vat jeigu niekas daugiau jam neduos priešingų idėjų, tai jis ir laikysis tom idėjom. Ir jo, tai kai jisai nori labai padėti ten savo juodaodžiam žmonėms visiems, kad ten kontraktus pagerinti ir panašiai, čia understandable yra. Ten kontraktai tikrai gali būti žiauriai predatoriai. Bet tada jam reikia irgi paaiškinti, kad sprendimo būdas nėra tau dabar būti rasistų prie žydus ar dar ten kažką. O jeigu, bet paaiškinti kažkaip, o ne reikalauti atsiprašymų ir demonizuoti. Gali ir pasakyti ir kažkaip paaiškinti, kad gal jeigu tikrai nori padėti saviems, ir atkreipdėmės tas temas, reikia biškai kitaip gal bordinti dalykus. Gal tas padėtų labiau, o ne reikalauti atsiprašymų vėl ir panašiai. Ir jo, tą, ką aš girdėjau, kai kurios idėjos net nėra blogos, daug kam aš ir jaučiu ir pritariau, kaip ir ten, I guess, kur ir cancel culture kalbėjom ir apie tą viską. Kai kur jo, ten kur, jo, bet, I don't know, ir aš nežinau, labai daug žmonių demonizuoja taip, kai nereikia ten taip ir demonizuoti, gali vadinti buku. Bet negali, žinoti, ar jis ten malicious ar ne. Ir aš nemanau, kad Kanye malicious tikrai. Bet jo, kai jisai biškai bukas, o ką ten, kai pradeda apie tas religijas šnekėti ir kai biškai to kritinio mąstymo nelabai daug kartais, tai jo irgi. Ir jo.